Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Other Castle.
The Other Castle, I'm Andrea.
And my name is Tom.
And here on The Other Castle, we do the plot, lore, and more, and sometimes the historical relevance of all your favorite games.
If this is your first time listening, you can check out our website, theothercastlepodcast.com.
That's theothercastlepodcast.com.
Over there, we have links to our Instagram, our Discord, our item shop, as well as our Patreon.
On our Patreon, we do episodes monthly on and off season. It's only $2 a month. There's a 7-day free trial, and patrons get to hear this a day early. So happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you guys, but happy Wednesday to the rest of you.
And the rest. And this Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this, I'm not going to be mad at you. It's a very special episode because it's my favorite fucking game.
Ever, right?
Basically, yeah, I've fully lost my mind. We'll get into it right now. So the story of Wolfenstein goes back to September of 1981.
That's before me,
It
even.
predates both of us. When Muse Software released Castle Wolfenstein for the Apple II. The original takes place during World War II, and the protagonist is a prisoner of war being held by the Nazis in Castle Wolfenstein. Castle Wolfenstein is not a real place, but it is based on Germany's Castle Wewelsburg.
Okay.
The player breaks out of their imprisonment and escapes the castle. Simple enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought Wolfenstein started with, like, the first-person shooter.
We're gonna get there.
Okay.
The game was a pioneer for stealth gameplay, and at the time was one of the best-selling video games. Not like there was a lot of competition in 1981, but still exciting. The franchise expanded with a sequel in 1984, and then a remake was made by a Texas-based group, ID Software, in 1992, titled Wolfenstein 3D.
Ah, so that's the one I know about.
Exactly, yeah, and that 3D title is largely recognized as one of the first great first-person shooter games to exist, point blank, period.
Now, you're saying ID Software. I have heard people say id Software. I'm actually not entirely sure.
Then don't bring it up. What the fuck?
I just know there's online discourse about it.
Well, that's their problem, not fucking mine. So Wolfenstein 3D was also the actual franchise entry for protagonist William Joseph B.J. Blazkowicz, who is the primary protagonist going forward and including the title we're doing today. ID Software may sound familiar as well because they also ran the Doom, Quake, and the Commander Keen franchises in addition to the mighty Wolfenstein.
Oh, they are the groundbreakers of first-person shooters.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Now, these franchises share more than just the developer, as the protagonist in Doom is a confirmed descendant of B.J. Blazkowicz.
Of course he is.
And this was hard confirmed by the studio's co-founders, so it is true canonical lore.
Oh, hell yeah.
The franchise continued with a few different developers, but largely worked closely with ID Software. Particularly, the franchise leaned heavily on the Doom engine developed by ID Software, a practice that is still continued to this day. To date, there are 14 different entries in the Wolfenstein franchise, spanning PC, console, mobile, and VR titles.
Wow, that is so damn many. Holy shit.
It's a lot. This isn't all one canonical story, though, so don't get it twisted that you need to be like Bible on each entry. There have been several iterations of reboots, and timelines have shifted around and been retconned here or there.
Oh, thank God. So we haven't had to play since 1981 to understand what happened?
I think you should, just because they're fun. But no. Two major consistencies, though, are the American badass, William Joseph Blazkowicz, and getting to shoot, stab, and strangle Nazis.
The original bad guy.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Now let's do some real-world history lore on why it is so fucking awesome to kill Nazis. In the 1930s, there was a political figure called Adolf Hitler, who became the fascist dictator of Germany under the Nazi Party. The Nazi Party's core beliefs are rooted in hate and what they identify as racial purity. They were of the mindset that Aryans were the master race, specifically those that were blonde with blue eyes and pale white skin. They are responsible for the murder of around 6 million people, predominantly Jewish, but also people of color, people with disabilities, and queer people.
Holy shit.
Outside of the murders, there were also regular torture of all kinds on these marginalized groups via violence, non-consensual acts, and medical torture under the guise of science.
Terrible, terrible people.
The worst. Nazis have adopted the insignia of the swastika, which was originally a Hindu symbol for prosperity, as well as their own iconography just across the gamut.
Well, way to fuck that up.
Girl. The symbol has become synonymous with hatred, specifically anti-Semitism and racism, for nearly 100 years. Following the fall of the Nazi Party in 1945, swastikas were banned in Germany in most respects. There are very few exceptions to the swastika ban. When the Wolfenstein games were released, German gamers received censored copies that did not feature swastikas in accordance with the German laws.
Yeah, a lot of properties had to do that.
Exactly. However, in 2018, a case was made for the use of the swastika in video games and specifically used Wolfenstein 3D as an example for its use and merit.
Wow. That much longer afterwards?
Yeah, relatively recently, but again, decades after the end of World War II.
Right.
The ruling passed in favor of allowing free expression in video games, and now the uncensored full version of the games are available in Germany.
That's amazing.
It probably also helps that the franchise doesn't celebrate Nazis and in fact celebrates killing them in very satisfying ways, but it's really cool to see something that's adjusted laws in our world.
That is really cool, and then the fact that it's Wolfenstein that helped bring it about.
Hell yeah. The Nazis are a despicable, disgusting people, and being responsible for so many Nazi NPCs getting slaughtered is a fucking delight in this game. As a blanket fact, you do not have to be a part of a marginalized or targeted group to support equality and fair treatment of others, which makes this game of stomping the fucking soul out of Nazi bastards especially enjoyable.
Honestly, BJ Blazkowicz is kind of the perfect Aryan on top of that.
I'm glad you bring that up because, yes, he does have blue eyes, he has light hair, but Blazkowicz is canonically half Jewish.
Oh, really? Okay.
So this makes it particularly satisfying that he gets to kill a bunch of fucking Nazis.
Right.
After Raven Studios' 2009 Wolfenstein title, the franchise landed in the laps of Machine Games through some merger and licensing opportunities. Machine Games is a Swedish studio made up of industry veterans. At the time, they were struggling a bit to find a game that they could develop and a publisher to support the process. They had pitched out a bunch of games to different groups, including Bethesda. Bethesda's parent company ended up acquiring ID Software, which still held the rights to Wolfenstein. Bethesda, most synonymous with the Fallout series, reached out to Machine Games and wanted to see if the studio was still looking for projects to work on. After some back and forth, Machine Game realized no one had an active Wolfenstein project in the works and requested approval to jump in on the series. This would be Machine Game's first developed game, which is insane.
So for them to take on something as iconic as Wolfenstein, that is just a huge undertaking.
Oh, it's so ballsy. It's especially great, too, because ID Software personally gave their blessings on the project and granted access to the proprietary gaming engine just for Machine Games. They're like, we feel you, go for it. Development on the game took about 3 years. One of the big goals of the title was to take the most iconic first-person shooter franchise in history and push it to a strange new world. One step it took towards that strange new world was casting actor Brian Bloom as William Blazkowicz. Brian Bloom has done a ton of cartoon voiceover and video game performances and did full mocap for his performance in Wolfenstein. He originally auditioned for the game without knowing what game it would be, only that Bethesda was publishing it, which was really cool for him. He recorded an at-home audition and, after signing a fucking mountain of NDAs, found out it was a Wolfenstein game.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Brian Bloom had played previous iterations of the game and has called Blazkowicz his favorite role he's ever played. He does note that Blazkowicz being nicknamed BJ has been inconvenient at times, but nevertheless, he loves the role. And I just imagine it's because people would yell BJ at him in the streets or at conventions, and he's a guy, so he has to be like, no, thank you. Oh, yes, you love my work? Excellent. Brian Bloom, like Blazkowicz, is a trained fighter. He's called the combat sequences in the game a real treat for him, which I love, and it's clear because, he kicks so much ass in this game.
Oh, that's why there's so many different animations for how you kill people.
Hell yeah. Along with getting to do what he's described as fun, exciting, bombastic, crazy, hard-ass, fucking bananas shit, Brian Bloom really connected with the emotional weight of the storytelling. He said, what was really amazing was that we had a little bit of emotional experience together quite often. So what sticks out for me through the fog of the memory of working on this after all these years is how pertinent, how organic, how sometimes personal it was. His love largely paid off, with Wolfenstein: The New Order being thoroughly enjoyed by dedicated and new fans alike. The title has moved well over 3 million copies and was nominated for several awards in storytelling and in action. This was easily the most enjoyable game I've played in a long time. It handles incredibly well and has some of the most satisfying combat I've just ever experienced, period. Blazkowicz is a fantastic protagonist, and the day I finished the game, I downloaded the sequel immediately and the prequel. And then I performed several pop songs where I changed the lyrics to be about Wolfenstein.
She very much did.
Tom was actually originally thinking about covering Wolfenstein for this show, but I scooped it up before he could, and I'm beyond grateful that I did.
I was blown away when we sat down to like really nail down this season, and you said you wanted to do Wolfenstein.
Why is that?
Because I grew up on Wolfenstein. I played Wolfenstein 3D like as a child. There was one of the conventions we went to where I bonded with somebody over being a child at the San Diego County Fair, digging through boxes of floppy disks looking for Wolfenstein.
Floppy disks.
Like, yeah, floppy disks, because back then they didn't do anything about pirating, and it was very easy to get like cheap copies, and that was like the best way to do it. But yeah, I like fully bonded with this guy who was just like, holy shit, I had that same experience as you. And like,
for Wolfenstein.
Yeah, for Wolfenstein specifically. So like, this is in my blood. This is one of my first games ever was Wolfenstein. And then you're like, I want to play Wolfenstein. I'm like, you know what? Go for it.
Sure, bitch.
As we started this series, you always said you could never do like the first person shooter stuff, and you wanted to jump in on Wolfenstein. I was so fucking happy. And then I watched you play it. As you went through this entire journey of this is my favorite game ever made, and then you wouldn't shut up about it and how great it was, to the point where I was just like, I want to wait for the episode on it, but then I had to play it too. So yes, we have both played it. Turns out there's two paths you can take anyway, so we each took a different path.
Yeah.
And yeah, I gotta agree, Wolfenstein, this is a fantastic fucking game. I am so happy to be covering it.
This is a masterpiece. It changed my brain chemistry, and it made me fall in love with video games in a way I didn't know I could.
And I think a big reason for it is that this is a love letter to first-person shooters at its core.
And I love killing Nazis.
And you love killing Nazis.
I fucking hate Nazis. So this was amazing to play. Oh my god.
And you can see why the concept has been so popular ever since.
For over 40 fucking years.
Oh my god, has it really been? Shit.
Yeah. Time is a son of a bitch, Tom. I'm really glad that I snatched this up from under you. It was so much fun. I played it on a PS5. It felt amazing. It handles well. The graphics absolutely fucking hold up to this day. When you were playing it, which you played after my playthrough, I would be like, look at that fucking Steam. Look at this. Look at that. Holy shit. This game is 10 years old. Wolfenstein: The New Order came out in May of 2014.
Jesus, it looks stunning today.
Yeah, it came out across PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360, and it looks fucking perfect.
Looks brand new today.
Oh, it's a perfect game. I am so happy and honored to be able to chat with all of you about this, my favorite fucking game, Wolfenstein. And this is Wolfenstein: The New Order. The game starts in July 1946. In our world, German forces had surrendered their fight in World War II in May of 1945, shortly after the death of Adolf Hitler. But in the world of Wolfenstein, the Nazi forces won World War II.
Oh, shit.
There are still Allied resistance fighters against the Nazis, and that's where Blazkowicz is dropped in. Blazkowicz is a big, beefy beef boy with blue eyes, dirty blonde hair. Earlier in the franchise, he was originally a redhead, but that was only due to the color and technological restraints of the time.
Oh.
Our Blazkowicz has a massive jaw and even more massive muscles. Our first look at Blazkowicz shows him asleep in a turbulent aircraft, dreaming of a simple life. One where he's laying out in his backyard while his beautiful wife grills hamburgers and his daughters play in the yard. He ends his own dream by saying, "These things, none of them are for me." He wakes up and is in the cockpit of a plane looking out at an air assault. A fleet of fighter planes are in formation with his plane. They're over the Baltic Sea, near the coast of Germany. An aggressively Scottish man tells Blazkowicz to fly the plane because he needs to take a piss. He's a skinny redhead named Fergus Reed, and he and Blazkowicz have worked together for a long time. Fergus calls Blazkowicz Blazko, and they are brothers in times of war. Fergus's pee break is halted when one of the fleet's fighter planes is shot out of the sky. Fergus leaps into action back in the cockpit to keep steady as the plane that was shot out hits their plane's engine. Blazkowicz follows some quick tutorials working on the engine and releasing cargo so their plane can get a little lighter before Fergus realizes it's time to jump ship. And I say that literally because their plane begins to go down and Fergus and Blazkowicz jump from their plane onto the wing of one of the other planes in formation.
Ballsy motherfuckers.
Unfortunately, The plane they're jumping to has some wing damage, but it beats a burning engine, so might as well take the leap. It's a glorious sequence to start the fucking game with, and Blazkowicz follows Fergus into the sky as they leap from one faulty plane to another.
Holy shit. That is some Tom Cruise Mission Impossible shit right there.
That's how he warms up for the day.
Oh, goddamn.
More and more planes get shot out of the air as Blazkowicz enters the new fighter plane, full of rookie resistance soldiers. Blazkowicz runs to the cockpit to rejoin Fergus, who's now piloting the flaming plane. The pilot is dead, and kneeling over his body is a young soldier who is screaming bloody murder. He's a young American, hyperventilating at the sight of blood and loss. Blazkowicz holds the boy upright and slaps him across the face. Twice. The young soldier thanks Blazkowicz for the act and says he's okay now. This is Private Probst Wyatt III, and he's barely 17 or 18 years old.
His first name is Probst?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a last name.
Fergus is on the radio telling the operator they're in dire straits, but the operator tells him to keep going. If they lose this mission, they lose all of Europe, so they have to keep going. Unfortunately, the plane has taken so much damage, it has no choice but to crash land on the shore of Germany. So that's exactly what happens. Blazkowicz is passed out underwater, along with the rest of the soldiers.
That is not a place you want to be passed out.
It's not where you want to wake up.
No.
Bullets speed past him underwater, shooting soldiers swimming up for air. Blazkowicz's voiceover says that the Nazi war machine has been advancing at an alarming rate. The resistance has been outclassed and outgunned, and no one knows why. His eyes pop open, and his voiceover continues on, saying that people are getting desperate, but not him. He's here to see an old friend and settle a score. Turn this thing around. As he starts to surface, a dog-shaped war machine flashes its teeth at him. It's a robot dog exoskeleton with gnashing sharp teeth and razor-like claws.
Terrifying.
It tosses Blazkowicz like a fucking ragdoll, and he falls into the cockpit of another demolished plane on the beach. Fergus and some of the soldiers are in another wrecked plane, and they work with Blazkowicz to gather the survivors to infiltrate the Nazi compound they crashed near. Deathhead's compound.
Ooh, Deathhead's a great fucking name.
Oh, it's terrifying immediately. Death's Head is a high-ranking militant Nazi. He's a returning character from earlier in the Wolfenstein franchise.
Really?
Yeah.
So not just BJ.
There are 3 characters that come back.
That's crazy, because I don't remember the other ones necessarily having story other than kill Nazis.
Well, are you really just thinking of, like, the one from 1994?
Okay, yeah, fine. I am, but...
Okay, because there's nearly a dozen titles in between those.
Apparently. Holy shit, I missed out.
Death's Head and Blazkowicz go way the fuck back, and they obviously fucking hate each other. Death's Head is often canonically an overseer of those really fucked up human and weapons testing facilities in the name of Nazi science. This guy fucking sucks. All the Nazis fucking suck, but this guy especially. Blazkowicz meets up with Fergus, Private Wyatt, and a handful of survivors on campus. Fergus says, "Gather round, beer boys. This went from a goose hunt to a stick-up job." I love Fergus.
Fergus is amazing. I fell in love with Fergus the fucking moment he started speaking.
He's one of those. He's wildly charismatic. He goes on to explain that this is the closest the resistance has been to General Death's Head in years, the central pillar of the German army. Simply put, if they kill the general, they cut the head off the Kraut war machine. If they don't, they're fucked. Wait, Private, are you okay? Fergus turns to Private Wyatt, who is actively having a panic attack.
Yeah.
He says his eyes are watering and he feels like he's going to be sick. Scared, Private Wyatt asks, "Is this normal?"
Well, yeah, you only just told him that literally the entire thing is fucked. Like, everybody in the world will be dead if we don't succeed today.
Also, he saw someone die and he's like really uncomfy about it.
Oh, this is the wrong person to bring on this mission.
Blazkowicz puts his hand on Wyatt's shoulder, reassuring him that it's just nerves. Calmly, Blazkowicz says he's going to teach him a trick. And they do breathing exercises. Inhale, count to 4. Exhale, count to 4. That's all there is to it. This absolute fucking unit of a Nazi killing machine took the time in the guts of war to show grace, patience, and kindness to a teenage resistance fighter. Blazkowicz is the perfect person.
He is the ultimate American.
After this like mindfulness moment where he teaches this boy how to meditate, Fergus re-rallies the troops and says, this time, we get the job done.
Hell yeah.
This kicks off a gorgeous section that feels amazing to play, where Blazkowicz and 2 privates rappel up a wall, rope in one hand, assault rifle in the other. As they climb, Nazi operatives pop their stupid little fucking faces out of windows, and you get to shoot them down one-handed and watch their weak little bodies tumble out of the windows.
And you gotta like dodge them too while they're falling out.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. It feels so good and it feels innovative, and this was made 10 years ago. Why aren't games this good anymore? Fergus and the other privates provide covering fire and cultural context, reiterating they have to go put bullets in Death's head today.
Death's head's head, that's good.
It was difficult to say, thank you. Unfortunately, between a plane crashing into the building and some sneaky-ass Nazis, only Blazkowicz makes it up the wall and into the compound successfully.
Aw, shit.
He navigates and gets the rest of the operatives into Death's Head's stronghold. They rendezvous after a fantastic firefight where Fergus has to, manually tell Wyatt to reload his guns.
Fucking Wyatt.
Also, don't reload them out in the open, for Christ's sake.
No, you need to be behind cover. We've learned this before.
He's a teenager.
Oh, God, I've seen people's heads get blown off for this kind of shit in other games.
Yeah. And in this game.
Yeah.
The remaining resistance squad is Blazkowicz, Fergus, Private Wyatt, and 2 other privates.
Uh-oh.
One of which is missing an eye and has 2 broken feet. The other of which is blonde.
They're also missing names, so...
Well, the blonde one's name is Blondie now. And Broken Feet is called Broken Feet.
They're Kojima characters.
Yeah. Those are their canonical Christian names. During their mission, the ground gives out below them, and they crash into a Nazi testing facility. They look around, and Wyatt immediately starts projectile vomiting. This poor fucking kid.
He has no stomach for anything.
No, he's a sweet little baby angel, and he cannot handle this.
He should not be on this mission.
The lab they're in has human bodies hooked up in intense machinery. The nude bodies are mid-decay and hairless. Unfortunately, at least one of them is still twitching.
Oh.
They're on their knees, held at a 45-degree angle with their backs splayed open for experimentation.
What the fuck?
Wyatt nervously tells everyone that there's ashes below the floor. A lot of ashes.
Ash, oh my God.
Upon further inspection, the entire room is rigged to be an incinerator, presumably to quickly dispose of test subjects.
Oh, Nazis are the worst.
We know that the room is hooked up to be an incinerator because Wyatt accidentally triggers the full room incinerator, thinking it was the lock for the door so they could escape.
This fucking private.
You hate him.
I have no sympathy for Wyatt right now.
He's a sweet little baby. The squad does make it out, with Blazkowicz carrying old Broken Feet through the escape door before the whole room goes up in flames. The next room is a largely empty room, but then a Nazi war machine, 7 feet tall and all machinery, bursts out of the floor and smashes Blondie's head.
So that extra year really gave them a lot of technology.
It's fucked, yeah. So now we're down to Blazkowicz, Fergus, Wyatt, and old Broken Feet. These Nazi war machines are called Super Soldaten, a new breed of super soldiers personally engineered by Death's Head. They're created by human test subjects that are chemically altered and infused surgically with cybernetics and steel. The human's mind is ravaged down to a primitive state to remove questions of morality and ethics. They are literally murderous Nazi war machines. The sound of shooting down a super soldier attracts someone, and Wyatt warns the group he hears someone coming. A concrete door separates the resistance fighters from the rest of the compound. A small observation window in the door opens to reveal the menacing smile of General Death's Head.
Oh, fuck that guy.
He's an old man, canonically 86 years old here, with wrinkled smoker's lips and no more hair on his body.
Well, at least we won't have to deal with him for much longer. Fuck.
General Death's Head smiles with both rows of teeth, which is menacing as fuck every time anyone does it.
Right, never show both rows of teeth.
It's so creepy. Upon seeing both rows of teeth, Wyatt screams in fear.
That does not surprise me coming from Wyatt.
He can't handle shit. Death's Head silently taps some buttons on the other side of the door, and the walls start to close in the room.
Oh, fuck, it's also a compactor?
Yeah, The room isn't just a facility for the super soldiers. This is a fucking trash compacting area for, like, scrapped steel that wasn't up to snuff.
Oh, into the garbage chute, flyboy.
Fergus tells Wyatt to calm down. It's a war. People die.
Oh my god.
Death's Head closes the room in on the remaining 4 men and laughs while asking, "What are you people doing here?" Blazkowicz passes out as the wall presses against his chest, flattening him and his comrades against the concrete.
Oh.
Blazkowicz comes to, half naked and handcuffed and belly down on the ground.
We survived this?
Yeah. Yeah, oh, the game doesn't end here.
Okay.
Dipshit. Super soldiers have him, Fergus, Wyatt, and Broken Feet all in the same position. Death's Head looks down at them, saying, "It's been a while since he's practiced his English, since it's a dying tongue."
Oh.
Death's Head kneels down to Blazkowicz and recognizes him. He says, "I like you. Such a resilient specimen." Death's Head moves on to Wyatt, saying he likes the eyes on this one. Fergus screams, "Don't you fucking touch him!" Death's Head looks down at Fergus and offers, "I like yours too."
Oh my god.
Death's Head moves on to Broken Feet and says, "Not this one. Someone broke it already." Wyatt breathes erratically and deeply, trying to do his mindful meditation, but unable to in these dire circumstances at the edge of certain death.
Yeah, he just learned it. He's not going to be a pro.
You don't think he's just going to catch on to mindful meditation immediately? Death's Head positions himself between Wyatt and Fergus and asks Blazkowicz to help him make a choice. He gestures at the men on either side of him, Wyatt and Fergus. He asks Blazkowicz, which one of these 2 varieties would best support my research? With more than a gun to his head, General Death's Head makes Blazkowicz decide who will survive this encounter, Wyatt or Fergus.
Guess which one I chose.
And this is where the game splits into 2 timelines, like Tom's alluded to, the Fergus timeline and the Wyatt timeline. Both are valid. There is truly no wrong answer, despite what Tom's screaming about, and the effects will ripple through the entire rest of this game and the sequel.
Which is insane.
The internet is generally divided on this, with Fergus being the funny, charismatic character, and Wyatt being a wide-eyed young man with the rest of his life ahead of him. I picked Wyatt.
I did not.
Blazkowicz is haunted by seeing so many children die in war. I couldn't make him watch another kid in his care lost to the Nazis. Fergus had a whole life, and he's gotten to taste fresh air, and Wyatt has barely left his hometown and got dumped into Germany to fight for his own freedom. And it was a hard decision, but, I did also watch the Fergus timeline, so I know what happened in both.
Yeah, and also, to me, it was like, Wyatt has gotten us into every single mess so far, and Fergus has gotten us out. So...
You're like, he'd be more helpful long term. I get what you're saying. I just was like, I can't send this kid off,
I get you. I'm a Team Fergus man.
Death's Head is surprised by Blazkowicz picking Fergus, saying he would prefer the younger specimen. Fergus immediately forgives Blazkowicz, saying, "It's okay. It's a war. People die. My time is up, is all." Blazkowicz's eyes glaze over hearing screams. He thinks, today, Death's Head is teaching me a lesson. I've seen suffering, death, people maimed and tortured. Thought I'd seen it all, but I'd never seen true cruelty until now. He tells himself, count to 4, inhale. Count to 4, exhale. After the screaming stops, General Death's Head whistles for his war machines to let go of the men. Everyone is tied up, so there's no use holding them down anymore. He leaves one war machine in the room with Blazkowicz, Brokenfoot, and Wyatt, and leaves, flipping on the incinerator switch on his way out. Wyatt jumps into action, saying, "Sir, I have a plan!" And he wiggles out of his handcuffs, just like around his body so his hands are in front of him instead of behind him. He hops on an incinerator bed and gets the war machine's attention. While he's doing this, he throws loose piping at Blazkowicz, who catches it, sneaks up on the war machine, and shoves the pipe between the steel fittings to pierce the remaining flesh beneath the bulletproof armor, killing the war machine.
Damn, okay. Like, this is the most useful Wyatt's been so far.
Well, this is where it's interchangeable. Fergus does the exact same
Right.
shit, so I can't really take that one for Team Wyatt here. Blazkowicz and Wyatt destroy the incinerator machinery so they don't light on fire immediately, which is a good idea. They get out of their handcuffs, and Blazkowicz picks the lock to the window. Wyatt grabs Broken Feet, and as the incinerator parts begin to shake with gas and fire, The 3 men jump and fall out of the window into the ocean below. The explosion from the incinerator room pushes them far out over the beach, ensuring them a watery landing. A massive piece of loose shrapnel pierces Blazkowicz's skull, leaving huge gashes around his head.
Oh, it's so bad.
As Blazkowicz's body splashes down, we get the production card for Bethesda Software Presents, a game by Machine Games.
Oh, that was just the prologue.
It's just the prologue, and it's so fucking good.
Oh, that's great.
Blood fills the ocean water as Blazkowicz floats unconscious on the surface. He's found himself on a piece of driftwood, which has saved him from drowning. As he lays dying alone in the ocean, we get the title card, Wolfenstein, The New Order. Shortly after, Blazkowicz's nearly dead body washes up on the rocky shores. Voices ring out, paired with lights, saying, "Here! Someone's drowning, come here!" Blazkowicz fades in and out of consciousness as the voices find a heartbeat and rush him to a hospital. The next shot is of a skull x-ray, and we hear a voice saying, "It's been 9 weeks. He has no ID, and no one's come to claim him. They can't remove the shrapnel, and his brain is broken. It's like scrambled eggs in there. He'll have to be sent to an asylum." A doctor and nurse flank Blazkowicz as he lies motionless in a hospital bed with his head covered in bandages. Blazkowicz has some consciousness as he's ushered via wheelchair into a room. A nurse reacts saying, "He's awake." The nurse speaks to the pharmacist, her mother, who tells the doctor, her father, that their daughter has mysterious medical powers.
Medical powers.
The young nurse looks into Blazkowicz's eyes as they struggle to stay open. Her parents, the doctor and the pharmacist, share a kiss. The young nurse is a beautiful, pale brunette. Blazkowicz fades out and back into consciousness again, seeing Nazi soldiers taking unclaimed asylum patients away as the doctor protests. The doctor knows the Nazis are taking his patients as human test subjects and tries to protect them, but is unable to sway the soldiers into leaving these people in his care.
Yeah, they're fucking Nazis.
The young nurse comes back to Blazkowicz and tells him, "This will be over soon." She rolls him over to a window so he can be near the light. Blazkowicz watches as the world passes him by. He says, it's a strange feeling to be trapped inside his own body. He says he blacks out, he loses time. Sometimes seasons change in the blink of an eye. He sits still while the world moves around him, patients coming in and out. He has trouble staying awake and keeping his thoughts straight, but it's getting better. He knows he's made it to Poland and is in an insane asylum. He looks at the young nurse again, saying she's the head nurse. Her father, the shrink, her mother, the pharmacist. They all run the place. He sees birthdays, holidays, and Nazis take patients away in shackles. He describes it as General Death's Head's personal candy store. He says the shrink fights it every time, raises hell, but he's made powerless at the end of the gun. Blazkowicz is grateful, though. He knows he's alive because of this family, and he's healing, but it's mostly because of her. He knows the nurse's name is Anya. She hand feeds him soup and tends to him every day. One day, as he looks out the window, his room is intruded upon by a fleet of Nazis. They command the room, saying this whole place is getting shut down. The shrink protests and the patients begin screaming. Anya rushes to help, but the soldiers shoot one of the patients and knock Anya down with a gun.
Oh, shit.
Anya tries to get up, and as she does, her mother and father are murdered by a Nazi right in front of her.
Oh, fucking Nazis.
The Nazis pick up Anya and drag her away and begin procedurally killing all of the patients. Blazkowicz has honed in and has snagged a knife off of his dinner plate to defend himself. As a Nazi goes to execute Blazkowicz, he leaps into action, almost on muscle memory, despite his muscles completely atrophying.
Right, he's been sitting in a fucking chair for ages.
And stabs the Nazi in the neck, whispering in the man's ear as he dies, "Nazi scum."
Fuck yeah, Blazkowicz is back, baby.
Blazkowicz says, "Anya, where do they take you?" and bends down to grab the Nazi's gun. His head aches as he does, and he says his legs feel like jelly and his fingers are numb. Blazkowicz leaves the room for the first time in God knows how long and gets back to what he does best: killing Nazis. The entire building is destroyed. Walls are painted with blood, and gunpowder-powered fires are breaking out everywhere. He fights his way out and encounters Nazi drones, but makes quick work of them.
Drones? What the fuck? The technology is insane all of a sudden.
Immediately, right? Anya is outside, laying in the ground, exhausted from trauma. Her nose is bloodied from Nazi abuse, and she is unconscious, but she's alive. Blazkowicz picks her up and carefully places her in a car. Thankfully, the keys are in the ignition, so he drives them away from this fucking slaughterhouse. Blazkowicz is still severely brain damaged because scrambled eggs.
Scrambled fucking eggs.
And he passes out while driving, which is dangerous as shit, guys. When he wakes up, a Nazi soldier is in the middle of the road shooting at the car.
Jesus Christ.
The gunfire wakes Blazkowicz and Anya up, and the Nazi jumps into the car with them.
Jesus.
It's like a Jeep-like car with no top, so he's able to just kind of dive. Blazkowicz throws the Nazi in the back seat, kills him, and then tosses the body out while Anya slides over and takes the wheel.
He's been awake for 30 seconds.
Yeah. In Polish, Anya says, "You're a great soldier. You can fight. Who are you?" In Polish, he introduces himself as William J. Blazkowicz, Ranger, Army, USA. Then he switches to English and apologizes because his Polish isn't very good. Then he asks, "Are you fit to drive?"
'Cause clearly you're not.
She says she is, and then she asks, "Where to?" He simply says, "Wherever." He's not a picky guy. He doesn't know what's out here. He's never left the fucking asylum, Anya. Anya drives them to her grandparents' house, a place she knows is safe. Anya, still covered in the blood of her parents and patients, runs into her grandparents' arms. As Blazkowicz leaves the car, he hears rumbling in the trunk. Opening the trunk, he finds a Nazi operative and immediately just punches him the fuck out. Blazkowicz joins Anya and her grandparents while he's dragging the unconscious Nazi with him. Anya's grandmother cries as she slaps the Nazi across the face, knowing he was in the group that killed Anya's parents. Blazkowicz thinks on this, saying, "They grieve their dead. Such raw sorrow. Can't partake. Mine would flood oceans. It would drown me if I let it out."
Oh my God.
Brain damage. Give him some slack, okay? Inside, Anya tells Blazkowicz it's 1960.
What the fuck?
This bewilders him. She says, "Yeah, it's 1960. You stayed with us for 14 years.
Holy shit.
Blazkowicz stammers that he has to find a way to contact the U.S. military. He has to find his unit and let them know he's alive and he's ready for duty. He won't take a day off of work.
He's taking 14 years off. Come on.
The sabbatical's over, babe. Anya's grandfather stops him, saying, "No, there's no more war." Blazkowicz says, "No, the war's not over. Look at all the Nazis running around." Simply and sternly, Anya's grandfather explains, "They won." Anya's grandmother adds, "It's over. The Nazis rule the world now. They are everywhere." Anya tells Blazkowicz the U.S. surrendered. Blazkowicz experiences grief hearing the U.S. has surrendered to the Nazis.
Oh, fuck that.
Anya tells him that the U.S. surrendered 12 years ago after the Nazis dropped atomic bombs on them. Blazkowicz says, "Well, then I'll find the resistance and help them fight." Anya's grandmother insists there is no resistance. Everyone has been captured. If they live, the Nazis have held them somewhere. Blazkowicz doesn't see this as a blocker and goes out into the shed where he left the unconscious Nazi, who is now awake.
I love his confidence that it's like, no, there will absolutely be people resisting this shit still.
Yeah, and I'm going to find them, and I'm going to fucking help them.
And if there isn't, I'm going to start one.
Yeah. But let me see if there's anything existing so we don't step on each other's toes.
Right.
The Nazi screams that he is a direct report of General Death's Head, and he must be released right now. Blazkowicz is like, "Well, I'm definitely going to fucking kill you." And he tortures him until the Nazi breaks and tells Blazkowicz the resistance fighters are being held at a prison in Berlin. Then Blazkowicz uses a chainsaw to end the Nazi.
So Death's Head was in his 80s in 1940.
That's right. In the beginning of the game, General Death's Head was 86 years old.
Holy shit.
It has been 14 years since then. General Death's Head is 100 fucking years old.
What the fuck? At 86, we're supposed to stop dealing with you shortly after that.
Yeah, he's not retired.
Oh, fuck.
Down here in the basement, there's a newspaper clipping about a serial killer who has been targeting Nazis.
Good.
And it's kind of fun that this is happening, like, during the fucking Nazi overtaking of everything in Poland. They're like, yeah, but there's one person out here who's, like, Batmaning this shit, you know?
Hell yeah. Good.
Anya's grandfather gets Blazkowicz set up with a nice brown leather coat and calls him a handsome guy. Not as handsome as me, but not bad. In this moment, amongst men, the grandfather tells Blazkowicz to take care of her. We understand each other, or I will find you and hurt you.
Look at BJ. You can't fucking hurt him.
I know, he's the biggest dude.
He will not die.
Blazkowicz respectfully confirms, nods, and says clearly he understands. This satisfies Anya's grandfather, and he says, let's go to Berlin. Anya's grandparents agreed to drive Anya and Blazkowicz to a train station so the pair can travel to Berlin to join the resistance. Anya is fully committed to joining the resistance and Blazkowicz on this journey because she just watched the Nazis destroy the country, the world, and then murder her father and patients in front of her in cold blood.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, and she's like, fuck it, I'm in, let's go. The grandparents stuff Anya and Blazkowicz in the trunk of their car to avoid Nazi checkpoints. Since Blazkowicz slaughtered a bunch of Nazis at the asylum and he and Anya are on the run, they're bound to be on a list, you know? People are looking for them.
Definitely.
As the trunk closes and they are drowned in darkness, Anya's hand finds Blazkowicz's hand and she holds him. After some time in the dark, the trunk is flung open by a Nazi holding an assault rifle. He sees the two stowaways and screams, "Alarm!" But then Anya's grandfather shoots his head off with a shotgun.
Fuck yeah, he does. Go, Grandpa.
We fucking love Anya. We love Grandpa. We love Grandma. The whole lineage is fucking dope as shit.
Hell yeah.
Grandpa says the road here is not safe and pulls Blazkowicz out of the trunk to clear out the Nazi troops. He hands Blazkowicz an assault rifle and says, "You kill the Nazis. I stay here with the car. Kill everyone."
Yeah.
I love him so much. Like, it also just the succinctness of, I'm going to be with the car. You go kill everyone. Check in later, okay?
They all know what he's good for immediately.
Yeah. This checkpoint is crawling with Nazis. The Nazis steal hybrid dog things and giant Nazi mechs. It's a fantastic assault series balancing stealth and all-out rampage. The game has excellent combat with intuitive controls, and every fight feels good. After the firefight, Anya and Blazkowicz are on the train to Berlin. The game moves at a breakneck pace, so you can't get attached to anything. Blazkowicz is getting coffee from the meal car for both of them, while she hides out in their cabin. As he's setting up, getting their drinks, two Nazi officials enter the meal car and take a seat at a booth. They're accompanied by an armed guard and a full mech soldier. Blazkowicz isn't scared, but he does calm himself and reminds himself that he is presenting as just another Nazi asshole taking the night train. There's no reason for them to be suspicious of him. As he heads back to his cabin, the Nazi pair stop him and ask him to sit down with them. There's a man and a woman. The woman here is Frau Engel, and she holds his face in her hands and says she likes his Aryan features. As she says this, she turns to her male companion, who agrees and says he likes his eyes. Frau Engel's companion is the much younger Hans Winkel.
Winkle.
Hans is a soft-looking Aryan man who is 28 years younger than Frau Engel.
Significant age gap.
Uncomfortably large age gap. She calls him Bubby, and they are lovers.
Oh, God. Usually it's the person her age that's being called Bubby.
Because she's a grandma by that time. She's 55 years old, and he is 27.
Oh.
He's the worst 27-year-old in gaming.
That's her 27-year-old boyfriend.
I hate it. Frau Engel instructs Blazkowicz to sit down. She brandishes a gold gun, so he obliges. She tells him she wants to do a test on him that is designed to determine if there are traces of impure blood running through a person's veins.
Oh, fucking Nazis and their tests for purity.
Bubby is amused by this. Frau Engel says if he is as pure as he appears, all is well. But if he fails, she will shoot him. Bubby lights a cigarette. She lays out different photos and tells Blazkowicz to choose between them. It's simple, and the photos are like non-specific things, like a mouth or an eye. Whatever you choose, Frau Engel goes through 3 rounds of photos before pointing her gun and saying, "If you had not been Aryan, you actually would have gone for the gun." Bubby guides her gun down back on the table, and they both start laughing like complete dumbasses. Frau Engel admits the photos are just silly vacation photos and war photos. The test is meaningless, and she was just fucking with him.
Oh, this bitch.
She says, besides, I can spot an impure with my naked eye. Again, Blazkowicz is half Jewish.
Yeah, because there's nothing superior about a fucking Nazi.
Absolutely nothing. They are worse than anyone. Frau Engel and Bubby dismiss Blazkowicz, who picks up his coffees and heads back to his cabin with Anya. Anya is an anxious little mess when Blazkowicz gets back to the cabin. She's hurried to get him behind the closed door, and all the Nazis around are just freaking her out. She hates being around them. Now, this is exactly how the next sequence goes. Anya looks at the 2 coffees and asks if one is for her. Blazkowicz says yes and hands one to her. She takes it and she looks at him and says, "There is only one bed." He says yes. She asks if he is comfortable sharing. And then the next shot is from the corner of the room where we see her completely naked riding him.
Hell yeah, BJ. After 14 years, you deserve one.
Shut up. Blazkowicz's voiceover says, "Sometimes you just need to feel something good."
It's fucking dork. I love it.
Now, in playing this for my first time, knowing nothing about it, I screamed because it was a jump scare of a sex scene. She is literally like, "Hey, did you grab me a coffee?" He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Hey, we could only book one bed. It was a last minute ticket. Are you cool, like, if we share?" And then they're fucking.
That's how conversations go.
Is that how? Damn. Brian Bloom has discussed the sex scene and has said Anya and BJ had to do a kissing scene and also a full-on love scene. It's quite something to see the 2 actors in the moleskin with the dots and the 2 ram's horns faking a love scene as if we're trying to create a feeling of intimacy, but we're not able to stand next to each other because we need space for the cameras and the microphones. So we are miming a love scene in those silly little costumes with the dots on, and it's very, very difficult to maintain the thread, let's say. There's a lot of laughter and a lot of takes to get that stuff right.
Oh my god, this is the most awkward thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, maintain the thread, I think, is like, I need you to pop your hips at the right angle to make sure it looks like it's still going in. Because, like, we see her boobies.
Right.
Like, it's from behind, but, like, she kind of angles to be like, boobies! It's a lot. It felt real out of left pocket. I wasn't prepared for that. I was like, I'm gonna shoot something. And then he's about to shoot up in her. And I'm like, it's just so
oh my god.
0 to 69. I can't,
They needed to have like an actual DP from porn. Sorry, not DP. I meant director of photography. Not the other kind.
It's only single P over here.
But they needed somebody from porn to come in and be like, no, this is how you're supposed to angle so that way you can get the best shots and stuff because it's not going to be fucking comfortable.
An intimacy coordinator.
Yeah, an intimacy coordinator.
Some 19-year-old with a fucking certificate. Like, yeah. The next morning, Anya brings Blazkowicz to a hotel that overlooks the secret police headquarters that often has transport to the prison they're trying to infiltrate. From the hotel balcony, Anya points out the prison transport bus and leaves Blazkowicz to parkour his way down while she distracts the guards. Anya does kiss him goodbye and heads off to be a beautiful distraction for all this. Blazkowicz looks out at the concrete monuments in Berlin and says, "This much is true about the Nazis. They're not lacking in vanity." On the way, Blazkowicz gets an iconic weapon, the laser cutter. It ends up being superpowered through the game and is so much fun throughout. It's essential and fantastic to use every time.
I was not expecting them to have like this innovative weapon in this game at all.
Why? Why wouldn't you expect innovation out of this perfect fucking game? It's a masterpiece.
I thought it was just going to be a love letter, but not also going out of its way to be also something that is a standout in and of itself.
Yes. I love this, and when it's used to cut fencing, the cut truly follows the path the player uses. So obviously, I immediately made a dick. Satisfying. Blazkowicz follows Anya's plan to the letter and ends up riding the roof of a prison transport bus directly into the prison the resistance fighters are being held captive in. On the ride, he watches the full city of Berlin under worldwide Nazi control whiz by him. It's all steel and concrete as far as the eye can see. He wonders if there's anything in this world even worth saving. But if there's any chance any of his friends, any resistance is still standing, he will set them free.
You're also in Berlin. That is just like Nazi central.
Yeah. In the prison, Blazkowicz sneaky sneaks around past Nazis, steel-reinforced dogs, and drones until he reaches an isolated tower within the prison. It's steel-reinforced and constantly being guarded. Inside, 5 prisoners are kept chained at a kneeling position with their hands behind their backs and masks over their faces. Blazkowicz kills the Nazi guard and begins to free the men. And as he does, he's reunited with Private Wyatt.
Holy shit.
Wyatt takes in Blazkowicz again for the first time in 14 years and says, "Gosh almighty, I thought I was a goner." "And here you are back from the dead to save us all. Imagine that." They hug, and Wyatt asks what Blazkowicz has been up to. And he says, "Shooting, strangling, stabbing Nazis."
Hell yeah.
That's Brian Bloom's favorite line in the entire game. And can you blame it? It's iconic.
I mean, it is the thesis of the Wolfenstein series.
Yeah, it really summarizes the entire franchise. In the Fergus timeline, when they reunite, Fergus calls Blazkowicz a jammy bastard and embraces him. Wyatt is energized seeing his captain had come for him, and he's super excited to join him in shooting, strangling, and stabbing Nazis. One of the prisoners is immediately shot through the head, so they close the door, and the remaining resistance members get ready to fuck up some Nazis.
I just really hope that Wyatt has picked up a few moves in the last 14 years.
He knows to not reload out in the open. Blazkowicz climbs through a vent with his laser cutter and ambushes the line of Nazis cornering the prisoners in their cell. Unfortunately, Wyatt is the only one that ever makes it out of that cell alive. But he and Blazkowicz shoot their way through the prison. Wyatt's run is a little quieter than Fergus's, as Fergus is a guns blazing bad motherfucker kind of guy. Reuniting with Fergus is a fantastic run, and he has little digs calling Blazko old and lazy, saying things like, "Would you kindly shoot this Nazi in the face?"
Oh, take a bio shot. You lost your fucking mind.
I did scream when he said that line.
When you heard him say that line, you really fucking lost it.
Well, it's so good. It's so good. It's a perfect fucking game. It's a love letter to everything that came before it, and it's the blueprint for everything that's coming next. It's perfect. Can you tell I like this one? In the Fergus timeline, Fergus manages to free a bunch of prisoners and shoot a whole bunch of Nazis. Wyatt's is a lot stealthier, but you still get to shoot a whole bunch of Nazis. Wyatt is fired up and furious and ready to revolutionize the world and get rid of the fucking Nazis. As they make their escape, Wyatt steals and hotwires a car, and they almost immediately crash the car.
Oh, Jesus.
As Blazkowicz's eyes adjust after driving the car through a window and crashing onto the concrete, through blurred vision, he sees Anya. She was waiting for them, ready to get them the fuck out of there. She gestures to them that there's a fucking tank coming, and the boys make their way into the sewers through a manhole. The sewers appear to be a dead end, until Anya lifts a manhole cover a bit farther down and smuggles them out of the underground. And manhole covers are very heavy.
Also, Anya's been a nurse for the last 14 years. Where did she pick all these fucking moves up?
She's just doing like CrossFit when she's not nursing. Blazkowicz fucking loves her. She's buff, she's cool, she hates Nazis. This bitch is amazing.
I don't blame him.
They get out and Wyatt hotwires a second car, which he drives out over a bridge. Under the fog, when the timing is right and they're in a blind spot, the three leap off of the bridge and into the waterway below. Using the city's water filtration system, Wyatt leads Anya and Blazkowicz through pipes, saying he's taking them home. Wyatt's been in prison for the last 3 months, but he's still very much involved in the resistance. Wyatt comes up on a big yellow metal door and bangs on it. The door is answered by a comically large man who says, "Max Haas," and picks up Wyatt. He holds him and is so excited to see him. Max Haas is a man who's had some head trauma. There's a big dent in his big head, and all he can say is his own name, Max Haas. He's childlike in nature, but an absolute juggernaut in everything else. A smaller, and by smaller, I mean just a normal-sized man, comes up behind the large guy and says, "Max, put him down gently." Blazkowicz sees the normal-sized man has a swastika tattoo and immediately lunges at him to kill. As Blazkowicz has this man by the throat and on the ground, Wyatt rushes to say, "Hey, no, he used to be a Nazi, but now he's with us."
Ah, defectors.
This former Nazi is Klaus. Klaus and his wife had tried many times to have a child. When they did have a boy, the boy was born with a club foot. This was reported to the Nazi authorities, and the Nazis came to take the boy away for not being genetically acceptable.
What the fuck?
When the wife tried to stop them from taking her baby, the Nazis killed her and the child.
Oh.
Klaus deeply regrets his Nazi support and looks forward to getting that tattoo removed or covered up.
Like, it's good that he switched sides, but I hate when it has to affect him personally to make him switch sides.
That does suck. You're like, at least you have a better worldview, but it sucks what it took to get here, you know?
Yeah.
After joining the Resistance, Klaus has taken on a fatherly role with Max Haas. Blazkowicz gets off Klaus, just letting him free now, and Anya takes in the fortress. She's in shock that here, in the middle of Berlin, there's a full resistance base complete with resistance fighters. Klaus explains this is the last place the Nazis would look for them. Okay, I see you.
Right under their nose.
A woman in a wheelchair rolls up and says, "Fuck me." This is Carolyn Becker, a returning Wolfenstein character.
Damn, another one.
She was shot during World War II and was left paralyzed, but that never hindered her passion for killing Nazis. She looks at them and says, "B.J. Blazkowicz, I should have known only you would be dumb enough to do a daytime entry." I fucking love her so much. They catch up briefly on their immense physical trauma, and then she says, "It's good to see you," and she hugs him. There's a very grouchy English guy in the corner named Bobby who just wants to sleep and hates everything. He's not very chatty. Wyatt greets a man who's playing a guitar left-handed named Jay. Jay is only in the Wyatt timeline, and he is easily one of my favorite characters. He's a black guy who wears a bandana around his face, hiding immense scarring across his mouth and jaw. He's constantly playing guitar and jamming out with his headphones. He's cool as shit, and I love him, and I want to protect him. He's really happy to see Wyatt is alive and brought reinforcements. In the Fergus timeline, Jay is replaced by a paranoid woman named Tekla, who immediately tells Blazkowicz he was supposed to have been dead in 1946, and gets very annoyed at the new resistance fighters. She's constantly annoyed with how much space Blazkowicz takes up, and she calls him an ape.
Yeah, she's very much kind of like a savant character.
Yeah. Because Anya is bilingual and had studied archaeology at the University of London for her doctorate, Carolyn puts her to work listening on radio waves to gather intelligence. Blazkowicz goes around the Resistance compound and can access one of the coolest fucking Easter eggs I have ever seen in a game.
Something so cool, you literally shouted from the other room and made me come look at it.
It was worth it though, right?
Oh, absolutely it was.
Up and off in a deep corner of the Resistance base is a stained mattress on the floor. The prompt over the mattress simply says, "Nightmare." Once you trigger Nightmare, the game drops you into the first level of Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh, it's so fucking amazing.
It's great too because it's the exact graphics from Wolfenstein 3D, just polished and rendered for the current console, but still very pixelated. And your HUD is the actual HUD from Wolfenstein: The New Order. So it's this blend of both games as, like you've been saying, homage to everything that came before it, but also innovating everything that's to come.
It really was fucking cool, and it was amazing to be able to play it because it's exactly how I remember it, but also in 4K.
So it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is what it felt like. It's so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
After a stroll down Nightmare Memory Lane, Carolyn gathers the Resistance. She explains the Nazis have developed a helicopter that is silent and undetectable by radar. There are 3 prototypes that are currently being held in the London Nautica research facility. Carolyn wants to go in there, grab them, and start weakening Nazi forces so they can overall kill General Death's Head. Let's fucking do this. Bobby and Blazkowicz drive together from Berlin into London to approach the London Nautica facility. Bobby is callous and quiet, except for when he talks about how London used to be a huge point for the Resistance. Then, the Nazis brought in something called the London Monitor, and it leveled everything. The Nazis built the London Nautica as a huge research facility, and it's been an absolute monstrosity ever since. Bobby points out that Carolyn and the others should be nearby. Then, Bobby tells Blazkowicz to get out and to make it count. Blazkowicz closes the car door, and Bobby drives headfirst into the gates of the London Nautica with the car and the 300 kilos of explosives hitting the gate all at once.
Oh, like I wondered why Bobby was such a pain in the ass, and then he did that, and I was just like, oh, he knew he was going to die soon.
He was making peace with some shit.
Yeah.
The entire entrance collapses, and everything is immediately chaotic. The distraction creates enough chaos and distraction for Blazkowicz to begin infiltrating the building. Bobby died for this, so we do have to honor his last wish and make it count. Carolyn radios in that she and the other pilots are a few blocks away and need the hangar doors open so they can get in. So it's all on Blazkowicz to execute the plan from here. Naturally, the place is crawling with Nazi tech and massive steel-clad super soldiers, super dogs, fucking mechs, just regular Nazis, fucking big Nazis, little Nazis, every kind of Nazi. It fucking sucks. There are also some General Death's Head recordings playing, welcoming young Nazis to this museum he has erected in the name of his own ego.
Jesus Christ.
There's some dumbass statues and a massive moon structure. It's also low-key a planetarium in the middle of this Nazi circle jerk. Deep in the research area of the facility, Blazkowicz finds a lot of ancient artifacts, many of which use Hebrew writing. Looks like the Nazis were looking to Jewish minds and biblical advancements for their innovations. There's one specific identifying mark, dot yeshud, which is a Hebrew term. The dot yeshud refers to a Jewish secret society rooted in innovation. Anya and Caroline are on comms and figure this is interesting enough to look into and ask Blazkowicz to bring back as much as he can find. While he's doing this, he also manages to upgrade his laser cutter to cut through steel doors, and it's fucking awesome.
Oh, I love this weapon so much and just how much versatility it has.
Hell yeah, it's so cool, and it evolves a lot throughout the game. So it feels good to like invest your time into feeling good with it.
Yeah, it grows along with you.
Blazkowicz makes it up to the hangar, which is heavily guarded and makes for yet another fantastic firefight. There's multiple mechs and waves of Nazis to slaughter like the vermin that they are. After they're all dead at the hands of Blazkowicz, he says to himself, right, Nazis dead, Nazi robots dead, broke all your shit, helicopters secured. He's just the coolest fucking American to ever live.
It seems like he's just kind of like running down a list too.
He's making his list and checking it twice. You know, I love Santa. He's like,
Right.
yeah, I got this. Blazkowicz opens up the hangar, and Carolyn gives him the heads up they're coming in. Just then, the remaining resistance squad of Carolyn, Wyatt, and Klaus fly in via hang glider into the hangar, landing gracefully.
The coolest motherfuckers.
It's such a great entrance to be like, well, how are they getting in? Oh, they're hang gliding in. Okay.
They look literally like leaves just kind of like floating down.
Leaves on the wind. Blazkowicz goes over to Carolyn to bring her to a helicopter, and as he swoops her up in his big, beefy arms, she looks at him and says, "My hero."
It's such a sweet moment, especially after she just did a hang glider maneuver all the way in.
Yeah, she's paralyzed from the waist down. She's hang gliding. She's so fucking cool. The three helicopters begin to ascend with Blazkowicz joining Carolyn in the one she is piloting. They talk about how she survived the events of a previous game. Blazkowicz says, "I'm sorry about your legs." The helicopter takes to the sky, and Carolyn says, "Don't be. I've learned how to fly."
Oh,
I love her.
seeing the positive in such a horrible situation too.
Just fueled by her hatred of Nazis. It's just like, fuck that. I don't give a fuck that my legs don't work. I will fly up on you, bitch. The squad brings the helicopters securely into the resistance hangar, and they regroup. Carolyn assigns Anya to look into dot yeshud, and Blazkowicz helps her research after a well-deserved smooch. After some investigation, Anya has concluded that the uber concrete being used by the Nazis in fucking everything, Blazkowicz is like, this whole fucking city is all concrete, it's disgusting, is rooted in ancient dot yeshud technology. However, the concrete is beginning to rot and mold. The concrete mix is being tampered with, and it's being tampered with by someone who knows the secrets of the dot yeshud. Anya has pored over all the documents and records, and in 3 places she's seen the same name a few times: Set Roth. Set Roth is a man who is currently being held in a labor camp in Croatia.
I thought he was in Final Fantasy VII.
Lance Bass. That labor camp's output just happens to be uber concrete. She believes Set Roth has been secretly sabotaging the Nazis' uber concrete using dot yeshud science. Carolyn loves the idea of finding a man connected to the dot yeshud world. However, she's concerned because this dude's old as shit. There's a chance he's already dead. Carolyn figures the best plan of action is to send someone into the labor camp undercover to find him and break him out. Someone like Blazkowicz.
We happen to have a guy.
In the blink of an eye, Blazkowicz is packed into a prison transport and delivered to a labor camp at a quarry in Croatia.
Holy shit, just like that.
Breakneck fucking pace in this game. I love it.
It really is. You do not get any moments of, like, breathing room.
There's no reprieve here.
Not one bit whatsoever.
Blazkowicz is head to toe in a prison jumpsuit and keeps his head down as Nazi officials scream on. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees one of the screeching voices belongs to a familiar face, Frau Engel.
Oh, that fucking woman.
She beats prisoners with a stick as they walk by. Further in the forced labor intake line, Frau Engel is flanked by her horrible little bubby boy. They both watch on as prisoners march to their assignments. Blazkowicz catches Bubby's eyes, and Bubby tells Frau Engel, "He looks like a good worker. This dude's big as fuck." She takes one look at him and says, "Oh, he's too big. That's too expensive to feed him." She does eventually let Bubby pick Blazkowicz out of the line, and he gets assigned to specific labor tasks.
Bubby's got a type.
Big. Blazkowicz gets shuffled into a room and is forcibly tattooed with a series of numbers along his right arm.
Oh, God, that is the worst.
As he gets his forced prison tattoo, Blazkowicz reminds himself to stay calm and do his breathing exercises. I do those when I'm getting tattooed, but none of them have been against my will. I fucking hate this. It's so horrific, and it is something that Nazis did do to people within their concentration camps, was forcibly give them tattoos, so unfortunately they'd be easier to identify as numbers. It's fucking disgusting.
Awful.
Immediately, Blazkowicz meets a fellow resistance fighter who is holding the line in Africa. This is Bombate, and he's so fucking cool.
Immediately liked this guy.
I love him, and he's perfect. He's a perfect character. Blazkowicz and Bombate work together on the concrete mixing floor. Bombate has heard of Set Roth and knows he's been in prison for a really long time. Bombate advises Blazkowicz to swap uniforms with another prisoner to get in the correct prison block to find Set Roth. There's a prisoner who got separated from his wife, and luckily, Blazkowicz has the wife's alleged prison block assigned to him. So once they swap jumpsuits, the husband is able to look for the wife, and Blazkowicz is able to look for Set Roth. This is a win-win situation.
Absolutely it is.
After their shift, Blazkowicz enters the prison yard and finds Set Roth tending to an injured prisoner. Blazkowicz says he's here to rescue him, and Set Roth laughs in his face. Blazkowicz tells him the resistance needs him, and Seth Roth agrees to be rescued and help just as long as Blazkowicz agrees to help shut down this fucking hellhole.
Yeah, you really should.
It's what you should do, like, as just a person. Set Roth has been working on a hack device for those massive mechs being used by the Nazis that are patrolling the prison, but he's missing one thing, the power source. So, Blazkowicz sets off to navigate the prison and get Seth Roth his power source. This fetch quest results in Blazkowicz getting stabbed by Nazis and then discarded into a body pile and waking up in an incinerator.
Jesus Christ, this guy goes through it.
He has never woken up anywhere happy. The one time we see him sleep, it's in nightmare mode. Like, this man cannot wake up from anything in a calm place. It's all wildly fucked up. Thankfully, Blazkowicz is able to stab the shit out of a whole bunch of Nazi scum, so it evens out. He makes his way to the main hall of Nazis, which is filled with the offices and Nazi officials. The battery is deep in the basement and is plugged into a wall. As Blazkowicz goes up to grab it, he's electrocuted because the battery's plugged into the fucking wall, dude! And he falls over, half conscious. Two officials run up to him, and one soft, stupid voice says, "Saboteur! I recognize him from the sorting run." A woman's voice chimes in, saying, "No, Bubby. It was before that. The night train." Frau Engel declares it's immediate execution for this one and his entire prison block as well.
Wait, the entire prison block? Why are they fucking involved?
She wants to make an example of him.
Holy shit.
Bubby asks if he has to watch because he doesn't like the smell. She tells Bubby to do as he likes. Bubby's such a little bitch.
I don't care that you don't like the smell. You gotta deal with your fucking actions.
We work in a prison, dude.
I mean, you shouldn't be killing these people, but if you're going to, you're gonna have to fucking deal with it.
Yeah, bitch. Frau Engel kneels down to Blazkowicz's eyeline and asks, "Why did you do that?" She calls him a stupid idiot. Then she brings her stick down on Blazkowicz and knocks him out fully. When Blazkowicz regains consciousness and wakes up, it's not good. Guess what? He's tied to a pole outside by a bunch of rocks.
Jesus, they just put him through every horrific thing the Nazis actually did.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah.
This poor fucking guy. Next to him on a pole is Set Roth, also tied up. Frau Engel looks at all the prison block's captives tied to poles as a Nazi mech gets ready to execute them. The mech begins to go prisoner to prisoner, squishing their heads and bodies in its massive mechanical hands,
Ugh.
just to save bullets.
At least it's quick.
Set Roth can't look and turns to Blazkowicz, asking for the battery. Blazkowicz throws the battery over to Seth Roth, because they didn't take it away from him for some reason, who manages to get his hacking device running immediately. Frau Engel is confused as the mech begins to disobey orders. She starts hitting the mech with a stick. The mech then grabs Frau Engel's face, tearing half her jaw off as she screams.
Oh, it's so gnarly.
The Nazi operatives shoot at the mech, but it's no use. It gets to work stepping on the Nazis like the bugs and trash that they are. The mech releases Frau Engel, who goes straight to Blazkowicz, jaw hanging off of her face. She gets so close to him, he can see her tongue moving past where her teeth used to be in her torn open mouth.
It's like fucking Two-Face in the Dark Knight.
It's so gnarly.
Oh.
She hangs on to Blazkowicz's body and spits out as she says, "For your crime, you will die like vermin. I will hunt you down. At the end of the earth, I will find you, your skin charred and your fats rendered. Your kind exterminated. In the end, I will feed your flesh to the furnace." And that's the end of her threat, because the mech comes up, picks her up off of Blazkowicz, and flings her out into the quarry.
Fucking good. Go to hell.
Her limp body hits a tree before she's plunged into the rocks below, which really felt like adding insult to injury, which obviously was very well warranted and very funny.
Oh, she deserves every bit of pain she will ever feel.
I hope Bubby finds her and is like, "Oh shit, my old lady." The mech cuts Seth Roth free, who frees Blazkowicz and tells him to take a seat in the mech. Seth Roth keeps calling Blazkowicz Shimshon, which roughly translates to Little Bright Sun, which is so cute that he has a pet name for his big, bulky American boy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Seth Roth says, "Okay, Shimshon, now we free everyone in the camp. Let's go."
Hell yeah.
This kicks off a section of gameplay where Blazkowicz gets to drive a mech, which I love, and shoot down tons of Nazis and liberate a labor camp. It's fucking awesome, and you get to shoot rockets. I love shooting rockets.
At Nazis.
Yeah. Set Roth directs Blazkowicz to an area where prisoners are able to escape and find a car. Blazkowicz defends the outbreak from the Nazis as they get vehicles and work towards safety. After the waves of Nazis, Blazkowicz rejoins Seth Roth along with a bunch of survivors. As they get ready to leave the camp, fucking Frau Engel and half of her fucking face stands in front of them with an assault rifle in each hand.
Oh, God. Like, it was one of those things where I saw her get thrown over the edge of a cliff. And I thought, you don't do that to her face and not make her come back later. Because, like, yeah, her face looked really fucked up. It was like, you can't kill her immediately after, but the way she comes back, oh.
Immediately. I was surprised they brought her back so quickly. Like, that bitch is still peeling herself off of the rocks. What are you doing?
Yeah.
She simply says, "No one leaves my camp." Frau Engel opens fire in the first car, killing survivors as Blazkowicz and Seth Roth's vehicle whips past her.
Oh, I was immediately furious.
It sucks. You're like, they were so close. And then this is a hard game sometimes. You get really emotionally attached to freedom and getting away from the Nazis. And
There are some moments, absolutely.
they speed off, leaving that bitch in the dust. Seth Roth tells Blazkowicz, "I might have underestimated the usefulness of your ape-like physique, Mr. Blazkowicz."
Ape-like.
Not the only person who thinks that, which is also very funny to me. Back at the Berlin base, Seth Roth addresses the resistance, saying that Dat Ishud is an ancient mythological society. For a millennia, we've operated with the utmost secrecy. Until now. We invent things. The technology developed by Dat Ishud is centuries ahead of anything you've ever seen or imagined, and highly dangerous in the wrong hands. The Nazis found the safekeep and stole our secrets. They used them to win the war. Everything they have accomplished, everything was built upon our knowledge, but it wasn't the only safekeep. We've hundreds of them hidden in secret places all over the world. Some are small and tentative, like the one the Nazis found. Others are great halls of knowledge stacked high. Magnificent inventions, things that to you will seem like magic. Now I can open the gates to this for you, but getting there is a challenge. Carolyn leans in and asks what it will take, and Seth Roth explains that the safe hold is deep in the Atlantic Ocean. So they're gonna need to steal a Nazi U-boat that's capable of great depths.
So they discovered Atlantis?
Yes. But like a special kind.
Jewish Atlantis.
Jewish Atlantis. Carolyn is like, that's fine though. We can get a U-boat. That's not a problem. Blazkowicz, get Seth Roth anything he needs to make this happen. Which is like, she's very flippantly like, bitch, I can steal a boat.
I can steal a Nazi sub.
Baby, you can't skip. Like, okay.
Oh my god.
I love her enthusiasm. The formerly incarcerated prisoners are scattered through the base. The man that swapped uniforms with Blazkowicz has indeed reunited with his wife.
Oh.
And they hold each other in safety for the first time in a long time. Their love deepened by the horrors they've overcome to find each other again.
Oh, being able to get these two together was so heartwarming.
It made my heart swell seeing them hold each other, and I was like, I did that. There's some that whisper about how Blazkowicz broke them all out. They see him as a savior. Blazkowicz has to get Seth Roth a welder, and while he's looking for it, he wanders into Jay's room and sees a guitar. Jay comes in and says, "Don't you be touching my baby girl without permission. Stick to the guns, soldier man." Blazkowicz asks Jay why he doesn't join the fight. Jay says, "What fight? Your fight? You took orders from the man. The U.S. government man. What a trip. The war came calling and sent my daddy to war, and he did not return. The bombs fell on our great cities, and the man ran scared. Motherfucking gave up, you know?" Blazkowicz stands taking all this in. Jay says, Nazis asked them to get down on their knees, and the man was all too happy to just pucker up and kiss Nazi ass. I had to cross an ocean to get away from that place. They would have thrown me in the gas chamber. Blazkowicz calmly says, "None of that has anything to do with me. That's not the America I fought for." The camera is tight on Jay, showing massive scars running from his neck up to his nose under the bandana tied around his face. He says, "Really?" He describes going to the movies with his mother back in Seattle and being denied service for being black. He says, "You're a patriot? Blue-eyed, jarhead, motherfucking Nazi killer that you are, and you're still a fucking puppet to the man. You don't get it, do you? Before all this, before the Nazis, back home, you were the Nazis." Blazkowicz has had it and grabs Jay by the throat, pushing him up against a wall. He says, "Be careful what you call me." Jay isn't scared. He looks at him and says, "Violence. Language of the man."
God damn, I'm fucking loving this guy. Doing the Fergus run, I did not get him. I got Tekla, who's a little bit batty.
Jay's fucking amazing. Jay says, "Can't you see? We're all just brothers and sisters now." Blazkowicz lets go of Jay and starts to walk away. Jay calls back to him saying, "Hey, soldier man, you play?" In a flash, Blazkowicz is strumming a guitar singing, "Buffalo girls, won't you come around tonight?"
What the fuck?
It's a real song.
It is, but that was not what I was expecting. That's hilarious.
Jay tells him to open his mouth and takes a dropper of acid, dripping it down Blazkowicz's throat.
Whoa!
Blazkowicz asks what it is, and Jay silently puts his headphones around Blazkowicz's big jar head. Jay starts tearing ass on his electric guitar, strumming psychedelic funk rock. Blazkowicz has his brain blown wide open, as most Americans do the first time they hear Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, shit. This was Jimi Hendrix in another fucking reality?
He thinks, "In that moment, I glimpsed what a free mind could accomplish."
Oh, fuck.
Jay rips on his guitar with rainbows glowing from his body as Blazkowicz travels through a world he didn't know could exist. He says, "I was on a ride no one else had taken, and in that moment, I was at the feet of a god."
Holy shit. That's a fucking trip and a half, actually.
So definitely at least a trip.
Yeah.
After the boys have bonded over drugs and rock and roll, Blazkowicz goes back to Seth Roth. Jay has moved on to helping Wyatt, where Wyatt tells Jay that he's something of a musician himself. I'm gonna ask you right now, why do you think Wyatt considers himself a musician?
I bet he plays a mean spoon.
I didn't think you'd say spoon. Well, Wyatt played clarinet in the marching band at Harvard.
Okay, I'm actually not surprised by that either.
He's a clarinet boy. I love him.
Oh, and he went to Harvard, which means he was likely a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
God, Wyatt. I have never liked Wyatt from the minute I met him.
comes from money. He got in on his clarinet scholarship, maybe.
Meanwhile, Fergus grew up on the mean streets of fucking Scotland.
Blazkowicz gets Setroth a welder so he can make adjustments to some diving equipment for Blazkowicz to use to steal the U-boat. Anya asks Blazkowicz if he has a moment to spare, and then we see photos on the wall clanking against the concrete. Klaus asks Caroline where Blazkowicz is, and she points to a room where Anya's performative moans can be heard.
Performative moans.
Klaus says, "Again with this shit?"
Well, we had the drugs and rock and roll. We just needed the sex.
There you go, baby. The walls shake with pelvic rhythm, and a framed photo falls off and hits the floor. Klaus says, "What's wrong with these people?" Inside, Blazkowicz is pumping away at Anya, both of whom still have their shirts on. Blazkowicz stops halfway to tell her, "I want this with you. Like this. Always." She nods and says, "It will happen, William." Annoyed, Klaus starts banging on the door like Blazkowicz was banging on Anya and screams, "Finish up your dirty laundry. We're leaving." We have to steal a boat.
Oh, they need their own place really badly.
They really do. This co-op shit is not working out for how much they want
No.
to fuck each other. Blazkowicz is dropped off in the Berlin sewers with a tunnel glider that is typically used for sewer maintenance. Setroth's impeccable engineering skills have got it to working order, and Blazkowicz is going to use it to navigate underwater and get in to steal the U-boat. Blazkowicz's comms work underwater, some fucking how, so Anya talks to him through the tunnels. While Blazkowicz cruises through the sewers of Germany, Anya mentions that her grandparents gave her a diary that belonged to her cousin Ramona. Blazkowicz can listen to Anya reading out entries when he has the time. We're going to dry off for a moment and discuss the lore around the diary. The diary starts with the girl coming home during Nazi occupation. She discovers the Nazis have executed her former lover, the boyfriend who taught her to kiss with tongue. So she resolves to kill the Nazis.
Damn right.
During the day, she works at an asylum, but in the evenings, she goes downtown under the guise of volunteering for the Nazi party. She describes putting cyanide in their food.
Fuck yeah.
She describes luring one out to the woods to kiss him before killing him with a knife. She describes throwing grenades into the police station, which is full of Nazis. Here's a fun one. July 4th, 1943. The Nazi appears to be made of bacon. I learned this as 9 of them burned alive inside a late-night establishment. A lot can be accomplished with padlocks and gasoline. Father could smell the gasoline on my coat. I lied to him. He mustn't know what I've done. He's too sensitive. This, and many other entries align with the newspaper clipping at Anya's grandparents' home about the serial killer targeting Nazis.
Oh my God. Hell yeah.
A later entry reads, September 23rd, 1946. A man came in today. Horrible head trauma. He has scars all over him. He won't speak. No one knows where he's from. I think he's a soldier, but not a Nazi. I wish he could talk to me. He has a strength about him.
Oh my gosh.
With the last entry, Anya adds, that was the last entry, William. Some of the things in this diary happened a long time ago, and some of them may have happened to me. I miss you. I missed you a long time before I met you. There is no cousin Ramona, and if there was, she didn't write this diary. On the cover of the diary, there's an inscription in Polish that translates to, belongs to Anya.
Get the fuck out of here. I didn't go through these at all.
I know, your eyes are real wide right now.
What the shit? Because, like, as you're playing the game, you keep getting these Ramona diaries, and you can't play them in-game.
Right.
You have to physically exit the game, go to the main menu, and listen to these.
Yeah.
Honestly, I expect it to be, like, an Anne Frank situation.
Like, here's what life under occupation is like.
Yeah, but this, I was not expecting at all, and for it to be Anya. Holy shit, she is a murder machine, and I love her.
Anya was a Nazi killing machine for years, killing dozens of Nazis beginning from when she was around 17 years old.
And using sex to fucking do it is amazing.
Yeah, in secret, she's murdered so many Nazis and has wanted to tell Blazkowicz, but didn't know how to tell him. I think part of her was scared he would view her differently, knowing she was a murderer, because, it can dampen some things in a relationship, but it's not a bad thing to kill Nazis. It's literally just taking out the trash.
Oh my gosh. Who do you think has the higher body count? And I
Blazkowicz.
don't mean sex.
Well, they're pretty committed to each other at this point. But I mean, she consistently has been killing people in tandem with him just out in Poland.
Wow. Good for her. Fuck yeah, Anya. You're way cooler than I ever gave you credit for, and I thought you were pretty fucking cool to begin with.
Baby, she has a PhD in archaeology. She's multilingual. She's gorgeous. She can lift a manhole cover alone. She's a trained nurse, and she's been killing Nazis since she was a teenager.
I was gonna say, she's got a PhD in killing Nazis.
Yup.
Oh my god.
She is the perfect partner, and I love her. Do you love her more now knowing that?
Like I said, way more.
Blazkowicz breaches the surface just below the catacombs. Anya directs him to an elevator to take him up to the weapons depot. Carolyn is pleased Blazkowicz has made it this far and directs him to steal a cargo train. There's a train packed full of ammunition that the team will need, including a torpedo. Using the torpedo, they'll be able to sneak onto the U-boat, so they need to steal the train to steal the U-boat.
Everybody loves a train job.
There's always a goddamn train. Also, the Nazi weapons won't hurt the Resistance's odds of winning the war, so you might as well pick some shit up while you're out. Stealing the train sucks. It's waves and waves of Nazis, Nazi dogs, Nazi super soldiers, Nazi mechs, just so much in one battle arena back to back to back. It's a kick in the nuts, but it's really satisfying when you nail it.
I do love it.
Blazkowicz steals the train and meets back up with the Resistance. Klaus explains that the train Blazkowicz stole supplies all the torpedoes to all the Nazi U-boats in Europe. The plan is to have Blazkowicz's big ass hide in a torpedo and bust out after he's made it onto a U-boat and then steal the U-boat. With the U-boat, they can get to Set Roth's secret hideaway, and bang bang soda pop, we keep going.
It's a Trojan U-boat.
Wyatt has the wherewithal to drill air holes in the Trojan torpedo, which is very thoughtful. They load Blazkowicz into the torpedo, and he drifts off into the darkness until he's at sea. After a while, he wakes up and sneaks out of the torpedo. Naturally, the whole-ass U-boat is crawling with Nazis, so Blazkowicz sends them to a fitting death for the scum that they are. The ship goes into full lockdown, but Blazkowicz kills every single Nazi bastard in the boat. Blazkowicz takes over the comms on the U-boat so the Resistance can find him and the boat. When the team reconnects, they tell Blazkowicz he stole the boat called the Eva's Hammer, which is very funny. The mightiest U-boat in the whole fucking Nazi fleet. Also, this boat is equipped with a nuclear cannon.
Shit, yeah.
Unfortunately, the Resistance doesn't have the decryption keys for the nuclear cannon. Even more unfortunately, the decryption keys for the nuclear cannons aren't available anywhere on planet Earth.
What do you mean nowhere on Earth?
They're exclusively stored at the Nazi lunar base.
I'm sorry, there is a base on the moon now. They really, without regulations, were able to get a lot more done than we were in the real world. Holy shit.
Girl, it was crazy. U-boat captains have to learn the decryption keys by heart, and Blazkowicz obviously killed the shit out of everyone on the U-boat, so there's no one on Earth that knows the codes to the Eva's Hammer anymore. You know why Eva's Hammer is funny, right?
Why is that funny?
Eva was the name of Adolf Hitler's girlfriend.
Oh, Eva Braun, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Eva Braun famously partnered Adolf Hitler, so this is like his baby girl's boat with the Nazi fucking nuclear cannons and shit.
Of course he named it after her.
They really need those decryption keys to blast Death's Head's compound and all the Nazis there to death, so Blazkowicz very heroically volunteers, saying, "I'll go to the moon. I've never been." He's the perfect man.
I've never been. I like that he's probably just like, well, you know, it is the future. Maybe everybody goes to the fucking moon.
Is this normal?
Yeah, I'll go. I haven't been there yet.
Have you guys already been? I haven't. I'm 14 years behind all of you. Sorry. After the U-boat is in Resistance control, Blazkowicz, Setroth, and Wyatt go down to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean in search of the Da'ishud stronghold. Setroth uncovers a secret underground and underwater stronghold hidden behind coral reef at the bottom of the ocean. He says that this specific entryway hasn't been used in centuries.
Centuries?
Yeah.
Centuries.
Yeah. The three men enter a rapture-like entrance. So take a BioShot because they are in a clear glass tube showcasing the ocean floor all around them.
Oh, damn.
They enter the main hall, an absolute fortress of solitude with a gorgeous mechanical puzzle Blazkowicz solves for the group. Using magnets, Blazkowicz opens up a secret staircase that leads to a secret vault of knowledge. The secret vault is all gold with floating objects and mysterious symbols on the wall. Setroth reminds them they're in a sacred place, so don't be a dick. They find lots of useful things, including a full power suit. Wyatt tries it on and is like, this is fucking cool. And Blazkowicz is like, no, that's going directly to Carolyn, knowing that suit will empower her to be able to walk again.
Oh, God, that's amazing.
Carolyn and Anya call saying they've discovered a chief research scientist who's leaving for the lunar base tonight and will be on a train in Gibraltar. So they figure, take his ass out, have Blazkowicz replace him, and sneak on board a lunar transport to get the decryption keys.
I'll just pose as a cosmonaut.
Yeah, he's big and blonde and has blue eyes. You basically could assimilate, you know?
Yeah.
You're an Aryan passing. Setroth finds a huge pokey ball, the spindly torque they can use to stop the train. Take out the research scientist, swap him with Blazkowicz, get to the moon. Bing, bam, boom. Very successful ocean trip.
This is one of the most incredible devices I've ever seen committed to a video game.
It's so sick. I'm really excited to get there. Once dry, Blazkowicz is in a helicopter on his way to stop the train with the chief research scientist so he can sneak on to the moon. I fucking love this game.
The things you say sound ridiculous, but yep, we're just going with it.
But playing, I am seated. I am fully locked in. I'm like, yeah, let's get him.
I'm buying in.
We're going to Africa right now. As the train begins to cross a bridge, Blazkowicz deploys the spindly torque, and it absolutely decimates the bridge. As it launches, it shoots out grappling hooks all out of the ball, and then the ball spins, pulling them out in a tornado, destroying everything around it. It's beautiful.
Incredible device.
The chief research scientist was confirmed to be in a specific train car, which is now hanging off of the bridge, dangling over the water below. Great start. Blazkowicz has a massive firefight navigating an actively collapsing bridge piled sky high with heavily armed Nazis. Thankfully, with Sky Control, Wyatt keeps his eyes on his captain and helps out when he can, you know, by doing things like decapitating a heavily armed Nazi with the helicopter blades.
Oh, it is so fucking cool.
It's so fucking cool. Blazkowicz makes it to the chief research scientist, who has been dead since the train crashed, making it easy, and grabs all his credentials. The team hauls ass back to London from Gibraltar to get Blazkowicz on the lunar shuttle leaving out of the London Nautica site. The distance between Gibraltar to London is about 1,500 miles, or around 2,400 kilometers. He gets there in time for that night's moon launch.
Honestly, with the technology we're at, maybe they have teleport technology now.
Ask Setroth to set some shit up. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You do some cool shit. You are an innovator. Get me over there.
Every plane is the Concorde.
Yeah. Blazkowicz puts on the sharp white scientist suit, gets a haircut and a fresh shave, and packs his laser cutter in his carry-on. Then, as soon as the plan had come together, Blazkowicz is boarding a shuttle to the moon.
Hell yeah, you are.
The moon shuttle looks like a small passenger jet and has those over-the-shoulder braces like on a roller coaster. Everyone is over it. No one here is amused by the novelty of going to the goddamn moon.
Yeah, it's normal now.
It's wild to me. Blazkowicz closes his eyes and gets in a nice nap as he leaves Earth's atmosphere.
Taking a nap on the flight to the moon.
Well, what else are you gonna do? They did not put TVs in the back of the seats, so like...
What else? Yeah.
He's not gonna make chit-chat with the Nazis on board.
Fair enough.
Blazkowicz enters the Nazi moon base, where Nazis are heavily armed and patrolling the moon. He plays along with the Nazi charade until he gets his suitcase back and changes into his American hero outfit. He also taps back into the resistance chat with the team back home. Carolyn asks for Blazkowicz's status, and he says, well, I'm on the motherfucking moon.
Yeah, and radio works perfectly up here.
Setroth is fucking genius, okay? Carolyn giggles and threatens to clean his mouth out with soap once he's on Earth. then reminds him to get the decryption keys so they can use the nuclear cannon to shoot a bunch of Nazis in the dick with a nuke.
Literally sent him to the moon to search a Nazi moon base for a piece of paper.
Yes. And?
Easy enough.
This is a perfect game. Fuck you. Blazkowicz dusts off his laser cutter and gets to work maneuvering the moon. Once the Nazis see Blazkowicz in his regular Nazi killing fit, they're on to him not being the chief research scientist. And then they begin open firing on the fucking moon. They predominantly use battery-powered weapons that shoot off small laser blasts and bursts, so it's not like traditional gunpowder. But they do also have grenades on the moon, which feels insane to have on the moon, you know?
It feels insane to have that on Earth.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't care for the fact that it is used in the world, but on the moon it feels especially weird. Like, we should be a little more respectful of this surface we're inhabiting.
They're trying to say that they're like electric-based grenades too, but there's an explosion to them.
Yeah.
Fully.
Come on. Blazkowicz sends more Nazis and Nazi dogs to their lunar resting place and has to suit up for space and take a walk outside to get to where the decryption keys are. It's short, but it is satisfying where Blazkowicz experiences limited gravity as he bops around from one Nazi base to another so he can fire a nuclear cannon at Death's Head.
I love it because it is very much like the same kind of gravity you get in Halo.
Like that bouncing jump.
Yeah.
That's cool. As Blazkowicz gets to the base with the decryption codes, he takes a beat for himself. He sits at a table and picks up a loose scalpel that he finds just on a table, doesn't clean it or anything, uses his bare hands and pulls his right sleeve up.
Oh my god. Oh, why are we doing this part?
Efficiently, Blazkowicz carves out a rectangle on his right arm, framing and removing the tattoo he was forcibly given in the Nazi laser camp in Croatia.
Oh, it is the gnarliest fucking thing.
He doesn't fucking flinch, and it's so gross. Once he carves the frame around the tattoo, Blazkowicz rips off the sliced skin in one swooping motion.
I don't think that's how skin works.
I 100% don't believe that's how that works. His arm bleeds out, freeing him of his tattoo. He flicks away the dead skin slip, leaving a part of him on the moon, and that part of him behind.
Still just don't care for it.
It's gross, but it is awesome.
It is so badass. There is no cooler way to remove your Nazi tattoo, but god damn, that is fucking nasty.
But it sucks to watch, yeah.
And why did he choose now?
He's on the moon.
I mean, I guess so. You don't want that shit left on Earth.
That's not what I meant. But like... Blazkowicz picks up laser guns and rightfully shoots more Nazis in the dick until he gets to a control room. He prints out the decryption keys and tells the Earth team that he's got them in his hands. Anya tells him to get back down to Earth now. Blazkowicz has to now find a way to escape the moon so he can rejoin the Earthbound resistance fighters. The entire moon knows that he's here, and he's slain so many Nazis, leaving their pig blood dripping in the lunar base halls. And there's just more of this huge firefight to get to the Earth shuttles. It's so fucking fun. And when you look out the window, there's the moon. It's fantastic. On the shuttle station, there's one shipment transport that's getting ready to take off. Blazkowicz shoots out a bunch of final super soldiers before boarding the shuttle. As he does, he hears the pilot radioing into Nazi HQ back at London Nautica, warning them that he was attacked by a terrorist on the moon. London Nautica copies, saying they'll do a full debrief when he lands back on Earth. After London Nautica is warned, Blazkowicz makes it in and kills the pilot. Just as the pilot dies, the pilot manages to warn London Nautica that the terrorist has made it onto the ship. Blazkowicz stabs him to death and leaves him bleeding out as he preps to send his own ass back to Earth, where the Nazis are now waiting for him.
This guy knows how to pilot a spaceship.
Yeah, you go up, you see Earth, you go towards it. It's not like there's traffic.
Right.
Blazkowicz wakes up as his shuttle comes crashing down onto the surface of the London Nautica landing platform.
The number of times he takes control of a vehicle and immediately goes to sleep.
He's a sleepy boy, okay? Blazkowicz needs a nap.
He does not understand how vehicles work.
fuck is autopilot if I'm not allowed to take a nap?
He makes a lot of assumptions about the future, that's for damn sure.
Groggy and sore, Blazkowicz braces himself for landing. He thinks only of how much he wants to see Anya again, and that's what keeps him fighting. Carolyn had let Blazkowicz know that Klaus will be on the ground to pick him up, so Blazkowicz just has to make it out of London Nautica one more time. Cleverly, they don't reuse the map from earlier as we're in a different part of the London Nautica facility now, which I appreciate. We're in the same place, but in a different part of it.
Yeah, there's really no repeating in this game at all.
Oh no, and this game is so fucking good about it. Blazkowicz breaks into the building after crashing his space shuttle and shoots his way down. The team gives him a heads up that the London Monitor is up and running again, and they do not sound confident about it. They are displeased to hear this.
Well, they lost London once before to it.
A call from Wyatt comes in saying that Death's Head has sent a unit to the resistance group, and they're starting to close in. The Berlin base has been compromised, and Blazkowicz needs to get back as soon as humanly possible.
Oh, shit.
Blazkowicz works his way down from the top of the London Nautica building and finds himself in a blocked-off construction area with tubes and building equipment. And then he looks up to see a 280-foot-tall, massive mechanical Nazi mech, the London Monitor.
This fucking thing. Oh my god.
It's fully bulletproof steel, has missiles, and one directive: kill Blazkowicz. It sucks. This is a kick-ass fight. And it's one of those ones where I think I warned you as you were approaching it. It's something you have to be very tactical and thoughtful with all of your movement. You really can't run and gun it. You have to strategically place yourself around the monitor to figure out how to take it down.
It has both a battle pattern and a method of killing it that is unique to this individual enemy.
Exactly.
So you have to, one, figure out what that is.
Yeah, there's discovery.
And then two, pull it off.
Yeah, and then execute. A mechanical voice rings out from the London Monitor saying, "On behalf of the citizens of London, you are ordered to surrender." Klaus is reasonably terrified of this hulking beast, and it sucks. After destroying all the individual missiles and shooting up into the engine of the London Monitor does eventually fall at the feet of Blazkowicz. As the London Monitor crumbles in on itself in defeat, Blazkowicz falls along with it and passes out.
Did he take control of it? Shit.
You know he's just a sleepy boy, Tom. Klaus drives directly up to him and drags him into the car. Wyatt reaches out again, saying they couldn't hold off Death's Head's troops. The resistance is scattered and they need help. Klaus frantically drives back to Berlin as fast as he can, which is roughly 630 miles or over 1,000 kilometers away.
From London?
Yes.
There's also the problem of water.
Nazi checkpoints. There's a lot of problems, but anyway, Blazkowicz wakes up and is like, all right, we're getting there. There's a lot of challenges to this travel, but they do it.
As long as Blazkowicz isn't driving, I think we'll be okay.
About halfway there, Blazkowicz wakes up and reaches out to Berlin for a status update. Wyatt tells Blazkowicz that Frau Engel has been leading the attack. Her face is butchered and stitched back together sloppily, like a quilt made by a drunk. Wyatt and Carolyn have been hiding in the helicopter hangar. Several of the formerly incarcerated prisoners have been killed. Many others are hiding in the walls. Frau Engel had found Bombate, Set Roth, and Anya. Ugh.
Alive?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Right when they get back to Berlin, Klaus drives over a bridge to get towards one of the entrances to the resistance base. But he is met with Nazi soldiers as the car crashes.
Fuck.
The Nazis come over and fill Klaus's chest with bullets.
Oh, not fucking Klaus.
I love Klaus. Blazkowicz looks over at his friend, and just as the Nazi goes to fill Blazkowicz with bullets as well, Max Haas grabs the Nazi's head and slams it over and over and over and over and over again into the hood of the car.
Oh, you do not want to mess with somebody that has no control over their strength.
They pissed off the big boy.
Yeah.
Blazkowicz peels himself out of the car and picks up the Nazi weaponry to defend Max. Max pulls Klaus's body out of the wreckage and flings him over his shoulder. With Klaus in one hand, Max opens up a sewer passage so Blazkowicz can get back into the base. Max closes the sewer after Blazkowicz enters, and bullets are heard pinging off of the sewer coverage with Max on the other side.
Oh my god. I was genuinely like, I turned around and was yelling Max as that door shut.
Blazkowicz hurries inside, and Wyatt walkies to say that Frau Engel took Bombate, Setroth, and Anya to Death's Head's compound.
Damn it.
The Resistance still has one helicopter, so if Blazkowicz can haul ass over, they can take it to rescue their friends. Blazkowicz runs inside the base to find Nazis are still torching the place. The entire Berlin Resistance base is destroyed, on fire, and covered in the blood of allies and loved ones.
This is fucking devastating.
The married couple that Blazkowicz broke out of prison reunited are dead in each other's arms.
I sat there staring at this, yelling at the TV.
You were earnestly affected and mad.
I was yelling at the TV at this one.
It sucks.
This is so hard because this is your safe house. Literally the first word, safe.
Yeah. Fuck the Nazis. In the vents, Blazkowicz finds Jay hiding in his room. Jay tells Blazkowicz he's really happy to see him again. Despite being a blind, jarhead patriot, he's the only other guitar man Jay knows. Blazkowicz tells Jay to come with him. They're going to go find Wyatt and Caroline and get out of here. Jay says he's pretty well cornered by the man, and he's been on the run his whole life. He's sick of the silence. He says when he's gone, he'll be silent until the end of time. But this moment, right now, it's going to be loud.
Oh, fuck yeah.
To give Blazkowicz and any remaining Resistance members a fighting chance, Jay plugs his guitar into the amps. He turns them up as loud as they can go and forgoes his headphones, because he needs to feel this one in his bones. Jay begins strumming the Star-Spangled Banner on his electric guitar, with the sound knocking the dust off the walls. Several overly shielded Nazis burst into the door and declare the guitar is a weapon for some fucking reason, and open fire into Jay. As he lays dead, the final notes of his guitar ring out.
Jesus Christ, that is fucking intense.
And famously, the Star-Spangled Banner, covered by Jimi Hendrix with his electric guitar. It's too perfect. It's beautiful. I've earnestly never felt prouder of this country. In the Fergus timeline, Tekla tells Blazkowicz she's calculated the numbers, and for every Resistance fighter, there are 19 Nazis. So everyone owes 19 dead Nazis for their fair share. She says she has 11, and the camera pans over to 11 neatly piled Nazi corpses in the corner of her room.
They are just like piled on top of each other in this little mound. It's beautiful.
It's very well organized. I love that about her. She tells Blazkowicz he has a long, hard life in front of him, but this is her last day. And she calls him her friend. Then she takes out 2 more Nazis before being killed.
Yeah.
Blazkowicz shimmies through the vents after seeing his friend die. Frau Engel brought the fucking cavalry to the base. There's super soldiers, general soldiers, the whole fucking fleet is here. Blazkowicz finds himself at the feet of 2 small mechs who have their sole focus on destroying him. As he raises his hand to shield his eyes, Carolyn in her super suit from Seth Roth comes kicking the shit out of them.
Oh, it's so fucking cool.
She kicks them right in the head so hard they both crumble to the ground. She has a superhero landing and says, "Welcome back to Berlin, Blazkowicz." She's the coolest motherfucker on fucking Earth.
To go from in that wheelchair to doing like acrobatics.
To being a mercenary with like a super suit, she's so fucking cool. She's cooler than everyone on Earth and the moon, because Blazkowicz killed everyone on the moon.
Yeah, that's
So-
true.
So we can say that with confidence. Carolyn says she's going to go defend the helicopter so they can get out. She tells Blazkowicz to not get Wyatt killed. He's out of armor and is basically defenseless because he's a little baby. Wyatt hears this and goes, "I'm distracting the dog. No need to be snarky now that your armor is working." The dog is one of those massive 10-foot tall machine Nazi dogs, so it's not like Wyatt is playing fetch with a corgi, but
Right.
she still really downplayed everything. It was like, he's fucking sad. He's with a dog. I don't fucking know. Don't let him die. Blazkowicz takes care of the Nazis on this level and keeps precious baby Private Wyatt safe.
Oh, fucking Wyatt.
Carolyn tells Wyatt and Blazkowicz to get in the helicopter because they have work to do and people to save. This is not over yet. Before they take off, Max Haas grabs the helicopter and flings Klaus's body onto it before entering himself.
Max Haas made it?
Klaus is somehow still alive and reaches up to touch Max's face. He tells Max, You're my boy, Max. You know that? Such a good boy. You'll be alone now, but don't fret. All of us are alone.
Oh.
You're gonna have to stop crying and start fighting. I wish you could see the strength within you. With those final words, Klaus lets go and succumbs to his injuries. Wyatt holds Max as Max cries over Klaus's body.
The fact Klaus made it that long is really surprising anyway.
Girl. As they fly into the night, Blazkowicz has the same vision he had early on in the game. He's laying out in his backyard while his beautiful wife grills hamburgers and his daughters play in the yard. He says, "It's agony to dream like this. Wake up to reality. But sometimes, it's good to remember what you're fighting for." Back in reality, the Resistance fighters have taken shelter in the U-boat. Carolyn is stomping around in her supersuit, and it's so fucking good to see her walking around. The remaining four, Carolyn, Wyatt, Max Haas, and Blazkowicz, hatch a plan. Prisoners are held in the lower level of Death's Head's compound. They're going to do a deep run entry and surface up close to the compound. They'll take down the outer wall with a cannon. The Nazis will return fire, so they'll have to dive again, and leave Blazkowicz on the ground to enter the compound and rescue everyone. He'll get everyone on the helicopter, and once they're safely evacuated, they'll launch the nuclear warheads from the U-boat, level the whole site, make that trip to the moon fucking worth it.
Hell yeah.
Carolyn kisses Blazkowicz's forehead and tells him to be safe. Wyatt tells him, "See you on the flip side, Captain."
Flip side.
Fergus tells him, "Don't fuck this up, you magnificent cunt."
That's more like it.
You're like, "That's my boy!"
I respond to that much better.
At just under 50 meters, Blazkowicz fires the cannon and punctures a hole in General Death's Head's fortress. It's not just any cannon. It's the same spindly torque that stopped the train earlier.
Shit, yeah, it is.
As it launches, it shoots out grappling hooks all around and takes out Nazi officers in the fucking face and tears apart the wall as it spins around. Many Nazis fall to their watery grave using ancient Hebrew technology, and that feels good. Blazkowicz gets into the water and swims straight for the hole in the fortress, aiming to save the prisoners of war. He wonders, is this the day? Naturally, the Nazis here are very heavily armed, but fuck them. Blazkowicz kills them like the disgusting pieces of trash that they are. There's mechs among monsters, but Blazkowicz is fueled by the fear he'll never see Anya again, and he's here to get his girl. General Death's Head taunts Blazkowicz over the loudspeaker, telling him no matter how many soldiers he murders, he will never soil his legacy, which is some bullshit an 100-year-old man would say.
Yeah.
Carolyn pops in to tell Blazkowicz the U-boat is in position and they're on track on their end. Blazkowicz enters the human testing wing, seeing spines suspended in scientific displays.
Ugh.
As Blazkowicz rushes to climb a ladder to find the prisoners, he's jumped by a soft, familiar face. It's Bubby, and he immediately injects a syringe into Blazkowicz while a dumb shit-ass smile glides across his face.
The fact that he gets the fucking jump on you like that. Oh, God, it's the worst.
This little bitch boy. I fucking hate Bubby. Blazkowicz tries to push him, but almost immediately begins losing consciousness. As Blazkowicz loses vision and all goes black, he sees Bubby's face and Bubby tells him, "It's all over now." Blazkowicz wakes up on the floor with Bubby working on a computer. Bubby tells Blazkowicz that the syringe he injected will inhibit his nervous system and shut down his motor facilities, making it harder to move. Blazkowicz struggles to move before giving in, paralyzed. The computer monitor reveals the butchered face of Frau Engel. She says she's preoccupied cleaning up the mess in Berlin. Bubby says he has a gift for her, and she says she loves gifts. Bubby drives a hook into Blazkowicz and drags his body in front of the computer so Frau Engel can watch as Bubby slaughters him.
Again, just surviving shit that is just, oh God.
Truly the worst. She is in shock and says, "Bubby, a gift so much more precious than I could have ever hoped for." Bubby holds a knife and asks Frau Engel, "Would you like me to open him up for you?" She says, "Please." Bubby drives the knife into Blazkowicz's chest and blood gushes out. He starts pulling the knife down while it's deep inside Blazkowicz, carving him open. Frau Engel tells him, "Slowly, so I may savor it."
Jesus Christ, lady.
Bubby leans in close and says, "This woman is my life, you understand? My everything. But I would do anything to see her smile." As Bubby gets close to Blazkowicz, Blazkowicz bites off his ear. Frau Engel watches, crying out for her lover. Blazkowicz spits out Bubby's ear and stands, knife still deep in his chest. Bubby is shocked, saying, I gave you enough toxins to paralyze an elephant. There must be something very wrong with your cerebral cortex.
It's fucking scrambled eggs.
Yeah, man, there's so much shrapnel in this fucking head. Yeah, he's got scrambled egg brains. It is what it is. Bubby holds a gun to Blazkowicz, but is too stunned to shoot. Blazkowicz pulls the knife out of his chest and stabs Bubby twice, once in the temple through to his brain and once from below his chin directly into his head.
Oh my god, through the temple is so fucking insane.
He makes sure to do this in full view of the camera, so Frau Engel can savor it. She shakes as she cries, the way you cry so hard you feel like you're going to throw up. Blazkowicz moves on to continue the mission. He knows what it's like to have a woman that is your life, your everything. A woman so good, you'll do anything to see her smile. Carolyn radios in to tell Blazkowicz the helicopter is ready for transport once the prisoners are secured. Blazkowicz gets downstairs and finds Anya leading all the prisoners out of their cells.
Shit, yeah, she is.
It's her, Set Roth, Bombate, and about a dozen more prisoners. She runs to Blazkowicz and he collapses in pain. Bombate's really excited and is like, Set Roth was able to hack them out of the cells. I'm really excited that you're here to help, but we're like halfway there, dude.
We kind of did it on our own.
Yeah. They take an elevator up, but it gets stuck between floors. The prisoners, Set Roth, Bombate, and Anya get out with Blazkowicz boosting them up to the ground floor. When Blazkowicz is alone and about to leave, the elevator starts to malfunction and move away again, away from the safety of the floor. Anya reaches for him, saying, We'll get you out. We'll go somewhere. I believe there are still places on this earth where people can go and live happy. He looks at her and says, I believe so too, but not for me and you. As he says this, the elevator shoots up into the compound, leaving Anya to continue leading the survivors to Carolyn's helicopter. Blazkowicz sits on the floor of the elevator, readying himself for the final fight, the one he came here for 14 years ago. Over the comms of the elevator, General Death's Head said, What are you doing in there? An old friend come to visit? I haven't had a visitor like you in a long time. The elevator comes to a stop and Blazkowicz jumps to his feet and starts shooting. General Death's Head looks right at him from behind laser-proof glass. Death's Head says, Yes, I know you. We've met before. I think today we meet for the last time. General Death's Head is again a whole ass 100 years old at this point.
Yeah, seriously.
Powered purely by hate and Nazi pseudoscience. He stands and presses a button, and shelves behind him start whirring around. He addresses Blazkowicz, saying, Still fighting after all of these years? My guy, you are so much older than him. Don't be surprised that they're fighting.
Yeah, right?
He picks up a tube from the shelves. He says, I remember your friend. I savor his memory. Do you remember him? Death's Head places the tube down, revealing it contains a brain suspended in liquid. A flashback shows that Fergus's brain was extracted and preserved by General Death's Head, and he has held on to it until now.
Jesus Christ.
It's been left in a stasis form, ready to be activated again. This brain is the memory, the soul, the spirit of Fergus, and it is at the mercy of the Nazis. General Death's Head loads Fergus's brain into a mech nearby, and Blazkowicz looks on at what remains of his best friend. The mech springs to life with Fergus's brain, and Death's Head says, Can you grasp the splendor of it? The intelligence of the human brain amalgamated with the efficiency and obedience of the machine?
This fucking guy. Oh my god. It is just...
It's disgusting.
It is classic villain, try to live forever kind of technology.
Yeah, and it's really horrific to see it weaponized like this.
Yeah. Oh, the experimentation he had to do to get there is just so fucked. And they are bringing back, Fergus or Wyatt, whichever one, which is just even the most evil fucking shit.
Fully. The mech exits the safety of the bulletproof glass with Death's Head and approaches Blazkowicz. The objective that flashes in the HUD says, End Fergus's suffering.
Oh, fuck me.
Fergus, as a ghost in the shell, pushes Blazkowicz out into a battlefield, knocking all his weapons free. Blazkowicz has to kick open crates and fling found grenades at his former brother-in-arms, trapped in Nazi technology. After taking him down, the machine begs for the release of death It begs, "End me. Please let me die."
Oh my god, take a BioShock, because seriously, that reminds me of the end of BioShock 2.
Oh, yeah. Blazkowicz promises, "I'll see you again in a better place than this." He removes the brain from the mech and shoots it down the middle. General Death's had planned for some shit like this for some fucking reason and enters in his own goddamn mech.
Of course he does.
He says, "You perplex me, Captain, but you do not scare me." Death's Head shoots at Blazkowicz and tears apart the battle arena, falling into a battle arena below the surface. Before Blazkowicz enters this final fight, he says, "General, before the day is done, I will have you at the end of my blade."
Oh, it's so cool.
Then Blazkowicz heads down to finish all of this. The area is tight and constantly filling with smoke and fires. It's a fantastic final battle set.
It's a horror game against a fucking mech.
There are actually some lines that General Death's Head says here that are from the Wolfenstein 3D final battles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I can't pronounce them, but
It's in German.
It's in German, but it's really fucking cool when he does it. At the end of the fight, Blazkowicz tears off the cover of Death's Head's mech, freeing the 100-year-old man. Death's Head comes out coughing, screaming, "I will never kneel to you." Blazkowicz grabs his collar and says, "Fine, I'll gut you standing."
Fuck yeah.
He brandishes his knife and just starts stabbing. He pushes the knife in over and over and over again across Death's Head's chest. Death's Head begins to collapse and grabs Blazkowicz's arm as he slides down. With his very last breath, Death's Head looks over at Blazkowicz and says, "So gullible." Death's Head produces a grenade and flicks the trigger off.
Oh, fuck.
It explodes and all Blazkowicz can see is white. As vision comes back, Death's Head's body is destroyed. His head and limbs have separated from his torso.
Good.
And Blazkowicz is crawling back on his arms and elbows away from the wreckage.
Because nothing kills him.
Absolutely nothing can kill the perfect American man. Wyatt hops on comms and says, "The nuclear cannon is armed. Permission to fire?" Blazkowicz comes to a window and sees the prisoners have made it off of the compound. They're free. They're safe. He sees down below, they're being led by Anya. She holds a light, making sure the freed prisoners make it to Carolyn's helicopter. He thinks, a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lighting. And her name, Mother of Exiles. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. He sees Anya board the helicopter last, after all the other prisoners are secured as it pulls up into the sky, out to safety. As the helicopter rises into the sky, Blazkowicz lays on his back, letting his blood pool around him. He tells Wyatt they're clear to fire the nukes. The screen goes black, and the title card shows, Wolfenstein, The New Order.
Fucking hell. It is so heroic. It is so monumental. It is epic. It is incredible. And you were a mess for at least 2 hours after you beat this game.
It was an hour. So I beat the game. This beautiful song starts playing. The credits are rolling. I am inconsolable. I just start crying. I burst into tears. And I think I yelled for you. I was like, "Target, you comfort me." And you come down. And by that point, I'm actually catatonic. I'm wrapped in a blanket. I can't move. My eyes won't focus. I'm having an emotional breakdown. And you're like, "Are you okay?" And I went, "I beat Wolfenstein and now it's over."
And I'm like, the Nazi killing game?
Yeah.
And then I played it and I totally get it.
Yeah. And you've seen me play a lot of video games. You know, we've been together for years. We've been through a lot together, you know. Have you ever seen me like that?
Not once.
Not once.
Nope, not over anything. We've lost a pet before.
Yeah.
Nope.
Twice.
Yeah. Nothing
I've
like
lost friends.
this. Honestly, this is the most devastated I've ever seen you.
Well, I love Blazkowicz, and I worry about him, and Anya's perfect, and she got everyone out. Everyone's so brave on the resistance end. Jay sacrificed everything for the world. Fucking Anya's been killing Nazis since she was a teenager, and I love her for it. Max Haas survived!
Oh my god, I could not believe Max Haas survived.
Ugh.
You know there's a sequel, right?
I know, I'm really excited.
Okay.
I downloaded it immediately after. When I came out of my catatonic state, I was like, I need the old blood, I need new Colossus, I need young blood, get them all. I want every title Machine Games has ever done. And then I think I wouldn't shut up for 20 minutes about how the new Indiana Jones game is from this team and how it better be fucking perfect.
I have a feeling it will be, because god damn, that was epic.
There are rumors that this is part of a larger trilogy, so we should be getting a third main series Wolfenstein game out of Machine Games, although that is not confirmed at the time of this recording. Obviously, I deeply hope it's coming, and you're probably going to get new Colossus out of me just because I need a reason to play this. I don't need a reason to play this. I'm going to play it fucking regardless, but I need a reason to talk about it because it's so good, and I love this. And apparently, new Colossus is a more fun game. People really praise that one over this one for some reason, and this was a perfect fucking game.
And I think we're going to get you to play Doom after that.
What's Doom?
The game that is possibly more iconic than Wolfenstein.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, anyway. Well, Goombas, if you enjoyed that, please make sure you are liked to us, you are subscribed to us, you're commented on us.
And you're registered to vote.
And all that too as well. You can check us out at our website, theothercastlepodcast.com.
That's theothercastlepodcast.com. If you want to see me do some of the DLC on the Patreon, let me know. And also, thank you so much to our patrons for helping us keep this episode ad-free. We adore you, and I'm going to call you out and thank you personally, starting with Anne-Marie, Little Brimstone, Landon,
Honorbon, Matthew, Zan, Autumn,
Alex, Sid, Jutsu, Mozart, Tamia,
Hippity Hoppity, Cthulhu on your property, Ian, Danny, Zira, Ari,
Big Cat PDX, Alfredo, Mikolaj,
Taramek, Amber, Berserk Panda,
QM1993, Damien, That Chunky Boy, AJ Porting to the Bridges,
Paul, Omar, Aaron, Cerise, Molly, Krisha,
Molly Mock, Jackie, Jacob, Ellen, and Steamed Hams from Albany.
Thank you all so very much. You help keep the lights on. You help keep this show going.
I'd love to talk to you all on Discord about how perfect this game is. I'm just so excited that it exists and I get to play it anytime I want. I'm so happy. What a fucking blessing. Thank you all so much. I'm so grateful.
Yes, and this is Tom and Andrea reminding you.
Don't have weird sex in front of a house full of all of your friends, loud and aggressive enough that the fucking frames are coming off the wall. God damn it.
And don't skip the cutscenes. Bye!